Chapter 3000. How is this possible? Qian Renji murmured. She was extremely sad. She was sad that she could not make Zi Qingtian feel at ease and take good care of such a peerless genius. The #1 expert of the Outer Mansion. An invincible newcomer who became the new star with the most potential in the entire Tongxian Mansion's Outer Mansion. However, he died here. Qian Renji blamed herself. We owe Jiang Chen a debt of gratitude. If we can save him, we will definitely not stand by and do nothing. However, the danger in the tomb of the great sovereign is truly unimaginable. It's already a narrow escape for us to come this far. Everyone could be eliminated, including you and me. Yang Shiquan said quietly. His worries were reasonable and unexpected. Jiang Chen had saved them, but sacrificed himself. This was something that no one had expected to happen. All right, since we are all here, we should think about how to enter the great emperor's tomb. We were just at the periphery before, but now we must enter the tomb. Brother Dou, there are many people in Tongxian Mansion. If there's a need, just let us know. We will do our best to break the formation. The third elder said. All right. Dou Tianhuang did not say anything else. After all, the current situation was not good. There were more than 5 mid-divine king realm experts and 3 early hierarch realm experts gathered in Tongxian Mansion. This force should not be underestimated. He could not be their enemy now. Dou Tianhuang had been observing around the bluestone door for 3 days and 3 nights. He knew the 9-dragon jade pillar like the back of his hand. However, he failed to break the formation 3 times. 9 dragons demon subduing formation. It's really terrifying. But where's the formation eye? Dou Tianhuang was extremely anxious. He was also eager to enter the great emperor's tomb. However, the result made him extremely annoyed. Although he did not know how to set up the 9 dragons demon subduing formation, he had seen it in the ancient books of the Battle God clan. To break it, he must find the formation eye. The 9 dragons demon subduing formation seemed simple, but it was actually a formation with 9 dragons. Even a formation master would not be able to break the 9 dragons demon subduing formation in a short time. Brother Dou, is this formation really that difficult to break? The third elder seemed to be a little impatient. After all, the treasure mountain was right in front of them, but they could not enter it. This kind of torment made them incomparably depressed. However, the third elder could not help at all. The Battle God clan had always been proficient in formations. Even if all of them joined forces, they would definitely not be able to compete with Heaven Huang. Now they could only place their hopes on Heaven Huang. If you have the ability, you can break the formation yourself, Dou Tianhuang said indifferently. He was slightly angry in his heart. Coupled with the fact that he could not break the formation for a while, he became even angrier out of humiliation. Haha, I'm just saying. If it really doesn't work, we'll just have to force our way through. The third elder laughed dryly. This isn't an ordinary formation. Once the 9-dragon jade pillar collapses, the structure of the tomb will instantly change. Moreover, there are formations within formations. Once the 9-dragon devil subduing formation is destroyed, it's not certain that there won't be other formations appearing. Forcefully destroying it is the stupidest method, and also the worst strategy. Do you think that the ancient emperor of Northern Liang back then was not as smart as you? His ability is far from what we can match. Therefore we can only do it step by step. We can't break it by force. Dou Tianhuang frowned and said with a cold smile. After all, he was the only guarantee at this time. Once the formation was destroyed, it was likely that they would also be trapped here. All right, Brother Dou. We'll just wait patiently. The third elder had no choice but to silently nod. He knew in his heart that even a formation grandmaster wouldn't be able to break through such a complex and powerful formation in a short period of time. The main thing was that he was anxious about. It's good that you know. I'll do my best to break the formation, Dou Tianhuang said. He had the same thought as the third elder and the others. He knew that if he entered the tomb, the danger would be even greater. The more people there were, the more power there was. It would not be too late to fight when it came to life and death. There are quite a lot of people. It seems that we are not too late. The corner of Jiang Chen's mouth curled up slightly as he said with a smile. Shuel Yang and Bing Yun followed him. The 3 of them appeared in front of the blue stone door. Jiang Chen? You're still alive? Qian Renji's expression changed and she was overjoyed. It was a great thing for her that Jiang Chen was still alive. At least she did not have to feel too guilty anymore. Jiang Chen was extremely talented. She did not believe that Jiang Chen would die in the tomb of a great emperor. It's really you, Jiang Chen. Qi Haifei and Yang Shiquan looked at each other and were overjoyed. It was great news that Jiang Chen was still alive. Who are the people beside you? However, at the same time, the third elder's expression became extremely gloomy because he did not know an early hierarch and a mid-hierarch beside Jiang Chen. In other words, these two people must have been brought here by Jiang Chen. This trip to the hidden treasure was top secret. Except for a few people in Tongxian Mansion, no one else knew about it. Even though Tian Huang was only allowed to enter after negotiating with the second mansion master. However, Jiang Chen, an outer mansion disciple, dared to bring people to the hidden treasure. How could the third elder not be angry? This was his 10,000 years of effort and he coveted the great emperor's tomb. No one outside of Tongxian Mansion was qualified to enter. They are my friends. Jiang Chen frowned as he could see the third elder's unfriendly expression. Friends? Humph. Did you arrange for them to come here? This trip to the hidden treasure is our Tongxian Mansion's top secret. Do you think everyone knows about it? How dare you bring someone in without permission? You're not putting the third elder in your eyes. You're not putting the profound connection divine palace in your eyes. Yu Zhangji sneered. The third elder did not have a good impression of Jiang Chen. Moreover, he was just an outer mansion disciple. How dare he collude with outsiders to enter this place? He was digging his own grave. Who do you think you are? Do you think I, Jiang Chen, need you to tell me what to do? Jiang Chen said coldly. Don't change the topic. Just tell me, did you bring these two people here? The third elder, Lang Lang, stared at Jiang Chen. So what if I did? So what if I didn't? Are you saying that you can come to the great emperor's tomb but no one else can? Jiang Chen said coldly. Do you know who you are talking to? The third elder's prestige is unparalleled. How can you disobey him? This kind of person is really hateful. Third elder, I suggest that we expel him from Tongxian Mansion. Not only did he bring people here without permission, but he also showed no respect for his elders. This kind of person is the scum of Tongxian Mansion. How can we tolerate him? Chapter 3001. Enough. Qian Renji harumphed coldly and looked at Yu Zhangji. Yu Zhangji remained silent and his face was unusually calm because the third elder was behind him. The third elder was already very angry. Jiang Chen's unruly behavior must have angered the third elder. Yu Zhangji was naturally happy to add fuel to the fire and kill him with a borrowed knife. Third elder, there might be some misunderstanding in this matter. Jiang Chen has always been with us. How could we send people here? Moreover, we were transported here by a formation. Even you couldn't reach the peak of the northern cold divine region in such a short period of time. How could they do it with their strength? Qian Renji's words calmed the third elder down a little. It was true. However, it was his fault that Jiang Chen brought people here. No matter who these two people were, they had disrupted his plan. Let's not talk about this matter for now. However, Tongxian Mansion will not let you off easily for bringing people into the great emperor's tomb. We will decide again if you are still alive after this trip. The third elder said in a deep voice. No matter what, Jiang Chen was the one who brought people into the great emperor's tomb. He must not be let off easily. However, they still needed manpower now. They couldn't even enter the bluestone door. How could they talk about finding the great emperor's legacy? Jiang Chen sneered and snorted. Xueqi did not like to talk, and he did not want to argue with the third elder. Bingyun quietly stood behind Xueqi without saying a word. No one dared to ignore a middle hierarch realm expert. Jiang Chen glanced at Yu Zhangji. This fella, sooner or later, will be killed in the great emperor's tomb. Do Tian Huang squinted his eyes and looked at Jiang Chen. This fella is really lucky. A peak divine king realm expert could still survive until now. Currently, everyone in front of the bluestone door had reached the hierarch realm. Only a divine king realm expert like him could still be so confident. Why aren't you going in? Jiang Chen looked at Qian Renji and the others. There is a formation in front of the bluestone door. Currently, no one can break the formation. We can only wait for the experts of the Battle God clan to break the formation. Only then can we enter. Qian Renji said. 9 dragons demons subduing formation. Jiang Chen saw through the formation at a glance. Even Do Tianhuang was shocked. Who was this guy? How could he see through the 9-dragon demon subduing formation at a glance? If it were not for the records in his family's ancient books, he would not have known what kind of formation this was. You also know about formations? Do Tianhuang looked at Jiang Chen. I know a little, Jiang Chen said lightly. Then let's quickly join in and help Brother Do break the formation. The sooner we break the formation, the sooner we can enter. Third Elder's face lit up with joy. My strength is too low. I'm afraid I won't be able to break the formation. Third Elder is probably expecting too much from me. Jiang Chen said faintly with a hint of disdain on his face. If you guys have the ability, why don't you break the formation yourself? Humph, you're too weak. You're just making things up. Even the experts of the Battle God clan couldn't break the formation. What can you do? Yu Zhangji said in a deep voice and looked at Jiang Chen with disdain. If this fella could break the formation, pigs would be able to climb trees. That's right. I don't deserve my reputation. How can I break this formation? It's better to let the experts of the Battle God clan do it. However, I hope that you won't ask me to do it. Otherwise, it will be very embarrassing. Jiang Chen said with a smile. He wasn't angry at all. He crossed his arms and looked at Do Tianhuang. 10 days had passed and Do Tianhuang's face was getting uglier, because he couldn't find the eye of the 9-dragon demon array. He had no idea how to break it. Let alone 10 days, even if he had 10 years or 100 years, he might not be able to make any progress. Although he had some understanding of the 9-dragon demon array, he didn't know where the formation was. If he couldn't find the eye of the formation, all his efforts would be in vain. Finally, Do Tianhuang shook his head and gave up. This wasn't a problem of wasting time. The 9-dragon demon array was completely different from the ancient formations that he had seen before. Right now, he couldn't make heads or tails of it. Even if he was given time, he wouldn't be able to break the formation. I can't break this formation. Do Tianhuang's countenance became extremely ugly. To him, these words were extremely ironic. The Battle God clan was known as a clan that specialized in formations, and he was one of the strongest experts of the Battle God clan. Even so, he was unable to break the formation. Is there really no other way? Third Elder's face was solemn and even a little disappointed. Now, even Do Tianhuang couldn't break the formation. Didn't that mean that they would be trapped here, unable to enter? Can you break the formation? Do Tianhuang turned his head and looked at Jiang Chen with a puzzled expression. It wasn't impossible for Jiang Chen to break the formation. But looking at him, he seemed to have a card up his sleeve. Could it be that this guy really has a special understanding of the 9-dragon demon array? To be able to recognize the 9-dragon demon array at first glance, it must be extraordinary. Breaking the formation depends on your mood. If you're in a good mood, you can naturally break the formation. If you're in a bad mood, I'm afraid you won't be able to break the formation. Jiang Chen said with a smile. Just say what you want. Do Tianhuang said in a deep voice. If you can break the formation, why don't you do it now? Do you really want me to do it? Third Elder's face was extremely ugly. He didn't expect that he, the elder of Tongxian Mansion, would be led by the nose by an outer palace disciple. It was really shameful. Third Elder, if you want to kill me, I'm afraid I won't be able to escape. But if you want to enter here and break the 9-dragon demon array, I guess it's also impossible. If I'm not wrong, this expert from the Battle God clan, you haven't even found the formation core yet, right? Jiang Chen's words made Do Tianhuang's face turn red. Indeed, this guy was really meticulous. If he could break the formation, it was not impossible. If you have any request, just say it. If I can satisfy you, I will definitely not neglect it. Third Elder said. Senior Brother Yu was rude just now and I'm very unhappy. Therefore, if Senior Brother Yu kneels down and admits his mistake, my mood might be a little better. Breaking the formation will naturally not be a problem. Jiang Chen said with a smile. Jiang Chen. Don't even think about it. You want me to kneel down and admit my mistake? Why don't you go eat shit? Yu Zhangji roared with a gloomy face. Do Tianhuang looked at Third Elder and Third Elder looked at Yu Zhangji. Everyone's eyes were also focused on him. Jiang Chen was the only one who could break the formation. They could only pin their hopes on Jiang Chen. Yu Zhangji, I'm sorry. After returning to Tongxian Mansion, I will definitely reward you. Chapter 3002. Yu Zhongji's face was as red as a pig's liver. He didn't know whether to laugh or cry. He didn't expect Jiang Chen to do this to him. This was forcing him to his death. Even in the face of the elders in the inner mansion or even the mansion master, there was no need to kneel down. That was because the strong had the dignity of the strong. Perhaps one day, he would be able to rise to the 9 heavens. Therefore, kneeling down was no longer valued by others. Jiang Chen. Yu Zhongji gritted his teeth and his face became more and more livid. There is gold under a man's knees, third elder. A man knows when to yield and when to stand tall. What is this little grievance? The third elder said in a deep voice. Yu Zhongji knew that the third elder was on the verge of collapse. He and Jiang Chen weren't on good terms, but the third elder couldn't do anything to Jiang Chen. After all, Jiang Chen was the only one who could break the formation, and he could only be sacrificed at this time. All right. Yu Zhongji knelt in front of Jiang Chen and said in a low voice, I've offended you before. I have offended you before. I hope Brother Jiang can be magnanimous and forgive me. Well, that's not bad. If you're in a good mood, the formation will be easier to break. Jiang Chen said calmly. Yu Zhongji was so angry that he spat out a mouthful of blood. His dignity had been greatly insulted. It made him even more angry and unwilling than if he was seriously injured. However, in the face of the oppression of the third elder and the others, Yu Zhongji could also show the side of a man who could yield and when to stand tall. Jiang Chen, I'll fight you to the death. Yu Zhongji's face was as gloomy as water, but Huang Bai pressed on his shoulder and shook his head slightly. Hurry up and break the formation. I hope you're not talking nonsense. Otherwise, I'll make you die a horrible death. Doqian Huang said in a deep voice. Just because you can't do it doesn't mean that others can't do it. Jiang Chen said, turned around and walked towards the sword platform. What are you going to do? The third elder asked in confusion. Naturally, it's to break the formation. As soon as he finished speaking, Jiang Chen held the sword platform tightly with both of his hands. He lowered his shoulders and knees and calmed his mind. At this moment, he actually moved the sword platform. Everyone's face was filled with astonishment, especially the third elder and Do Tian Huang. No one knew the terror of the levitating rock better than them. Even divine emperors might not be able to move it, but Jiang Chen did it. How did he do it? The sword platform was rotated 180 degrees by Jiang Chen. At that moment, the 9 dragon jade pillars started to move continuously, finally forming a line. The blue stone door also slowly opened at this moment. This sword platform is where the eye of the formation is. Turning the sword platform will open the blue stone door. This 9 dragons demon subduing formation is actually a bluff. Turning the sword platform will break the formation. Jiang Chen said solemnly. Although breaking the formation was enough to prove Jiang Chen's means and attainments in formations, the most shocking thing was that he could move the sword platform. Do Tian Huang tried several times but to no avail. However, Jiang Chen moved the sword platform without batting an eyelid. You can actually move the sword platform? Do Tian Huang stared at Jiang Chen. Jiang Chen didn't think that there was anything strange about the sword platform. To him, the sword platform wasn't heavy, so why couldn't it be moved? Don't you know that this is the sword platform of the levitating rock? The third elder frowned and said, Levitating rock? A heaven stone? Jiang Chen's pupils suddenly shrank. He could see that the sword platform was extraordinary, but he didn't expect it to be a levitating rock. He had read in the ancient books of the craftsman god that the levitating rock was a heaven stone. It was said that it fell from the sky, and there were only a few of them in the entire divine world. Moreover, the levitating rock was as heavy as Mount Tai, and non-emperor experts couldn't move it. Therefore, it was also known as the Great Emperor Stone, an excellent material for refining primal origin treasures. It seems that this kid is not an ordinary person. We must be wary of him. The third elder thought in his heart. Now that Jiang Chen could break the formation, it was enough to show that this guy was extraordinary. His attainments in formations were also extremely high, even above Do Tian Huang. It was useful to keep him alive, but when it was time to leave, he must not be left alive, because the third elder had already seen through Jiang Chen's indifference. To him, Tongxian Mansion had no sense of belonging at all. This guy was definitely a classic example of a traitor. He dared to be so disrespectful to the Tongxian Mansion, and even made an enemy of the second mansion master. One could imagine how stubborn he was. This guy must be killed. The third elder and Do Tianhuang were somewhat unwilling, but they couldn't move the sword platform. Even if Jiang Chen obtained it, they could only look at it and sigh. They couldn't do anything. Levitating rock, sword platform. Are they really so terrifying? Jiang Chen frowned. He didn't understand why he could pick up the levitating rock so easily. Even experts of the Emperor realm couldn't move it, but he could move it in his hands. What is that? Qian Renji looked at the huge bluestone door, and there were streams of cyan mist rising from it. It's the chi of the Azure Dragon. It has a bad temper for cultivation. It seems that the tomb of the great emperor is quite terrifying, Bingyun said. Bingyun said. Back then, she had been affected by the chi of the Azure Dragon. The ancient emperor of the 9 provinces had once raised an Azure Dragon. The breath of the Azure Dragon was an extremely powerful attack. Moreover, the chi that it breathed was even more powerful than divine origin chi. With the spirit spring as the eye, the breath of the Azure Dragon. What a great move! What a great move! The third elder's face was solemn. Above the spirit spring, there was a brilliant crystal sword. The sword body was flowing with light, like the surface of a mysterious ice mirror. The sword chi was oppressive and cold. What a terrifying sword! Everyone couldn't help but have such a thought. The sword chi was too terrifying, just like when Do Tianhuang stood on the sword platform and was almost injured by the sword chi. Therefore, at this moment, even Do Tianhuang didn't dare to make a move and snatch the crystal sword. After all, he had learned his lesson before. The sword platform was attractive enough, but he could only look at it without being able to get it. This primal origin treasure is actually used to shake the eye of the spirit spring. It's really shocking. Where did the ancient emperor of the northern Liang come from? It's so terrifying that it makes people's hearts palpitate. The third elder said quietly. Everyone stared at the crystal sword above the eye of the spirit spring. Everyone wanted to get their hands on this primal origin treasure with sword chi. It's actually a primal origin treasure. With this primal origin treasure, won't I be invincible below the Emperor realm? The third elder thought and was extremely excited. This crystal sword was too terrifying. The sword chi could disperse the chi of the dragon breath. It must have been a great weapon in the hands of the ancient emperor of the northern Liang. This sword, I want it. Chapter 3003. You want the crystal sword? Why don't you look at yourself in the mirror? Do you think you deserve the crystal sword? Yu Zhangji sneered and looked at Xueqi. This guy was really full of himself. It was impossible for them to take anything away from here. The people brought in by Jiang Chen were totally different from the people of Tongxian Mansion. You can't take anything away from here unless you get the permission of Tongxian Mansion. Third elder Lang Lang looked at Jiang Chen, Xueqi and Bingyun. Why? Bingyun said coldly. These guys were so overbearing that they didn't allow them to take anything away. Third elder. Have you forgotten who was the one who broke this formation? Jiang Chen Lang Lang said. This guy was really shameless. They had just broken the formation and entered the tomb of the great emperor, but he wanted to burn the bridge after crossing it. This was really shameless. I said no, so I said no. If the 3 of you can leave here alive, you must follow me back to Tongxian Mansion to receive your punishment. If you can get some treasures, you may be able to make up for your mistakes. But the things here don't belong to you, so you are not qualified to take them away. Third elder said with a sneer. Even Qian Renji couldn't stand it anymore, but she was speechless. After all, the third elder was the leader, so no one dared to say anything. As a matter of fact, the third elder had displayed his shamelessness to the extreme. If it wasn't for Jiang Chen, perhaps they wouldn't have been able to enter the core of the great sovereign's tomb. However, as soon as they entered the tomb, the third elder ordered them to leave, forbidding them from taking anything away. Wasn't this the same as burning the bridge after crossing the river? If you say no, then no. Even if I take it, I will see who can stop me. Jiang Chen said with a gloomy face. Ha ha ha, I advise you not to make a mistake. Jiang Chen, do you think you are our opponent? If the third elder wanted to kill you, it would be as easy as flipping his hand. There was no need for the third elder to do anything. If I wanted to kill you, it would also be as easy as lifting a finger. What qualifications do you have to resist us? Third elder didn't kill you because you're still a member of Tongxian Mansion. If you don't repent now, you'll be killed by Tongxian Mansion after you leave this place. Yu Zhongji stared at Jiang Chen viciously. He had always liked to hit someone when they were down. Brother Jiang, it's not a good idea to go against Tongxian Mansion. I advise you to listen to the arrangement of the third elder, and do your best in the tomb of the great sovereign. You'll be able to make up for your mistakes and be forgiven by Tongxian Mansion. Huang Bai said with a faint smile. What a great kindness. It seems that Tongxian Mansion has been very kind to me. What if I refuse? Jiang Chen said in an overbearing manner. No one had expected that Jiang Chen would go against Tongxian Mansion at this moment. They thought that he would compromise and go back to Tongxian Mansion to ask for forgiveness under the pressure of the third elder. However, the result was out of everyone's expectation. Because Jiang Chen, a mere divine king, dared to go against the third elder. Although she might not dare to go against Tongxian Mansion, this scene had already revealed the beginning of the rupture between Jiang Chen and Tongxian Mansion. If Jiang Chen insisted on going his own way, there would definitely be a gap between him and Tongxian Mansion. In the confrontation between Jiang Chen and the third elder, it was the third elder who had the absolute upper hand. Moreover, he was the one who had the truth. Jiang Chen had used the fact that he had dragged someone into the tomb of the great sovereign. Now, Jiang Chen had no one to complain to. Jiang Chen, I think you'd better listen to the third elder. After all, where there's life, there's hope. Although your strength is not bad, no one can save you if you really go against the third elder. Shang Kuan said to Jiang Chen secretly. Jiang Chen knew that Shang Kuan must have good intentions. However, Jiang Chen couldn't bear the third elder anymore. The third elder wanted to kick Jiang Chen out as soon as the formation was broken. Jiang Chen's anger was extremely terrifying, but he didn't show it. He didn't know who would have the last laugh. The tomb of the great sovereign was full of dangers. The 9 dragons demon subduing formation was just an appetizer. No. Then, you can only accept my punishment. The third elder harumphed coldly and his facial expression changed. Qian Renji, Yang Shiquan and the others did not expect that the third elder, a late hierarch realm expert, would attack Jiang Chen. His thunderous means were extremely terrifying. Except for Dou Tianhuang and Bing Yun, no one else could react in time. Jiang Chen. Qian Renji, Yang Shiquan and the others could not bear to see Jiang Chen killed by the third elder. However, facing the third elder's strength, they could only choose to remain silent. Get lost. Bing Yun gave a low roar as 2 swords that emitted a chilling aura crazily shot out from her hands. They clashed against the third elder's palm wind. Bing Yun was forced to take a few steps back. However, she managed to dodge the third elder's terrifying killing intent. A middle hierarch realm cultivator actually managed to block one of my moves. It's really hard for you. The third elder harumphed coldly. At this moment, Jiang Chen's eyes revealed a hint of killing intent. It seemed like the third elder wanted to kill him. Then, there was no need for him to show mercy. If there was a chance, he would definitely kill the third elder with his sword. 3 reckless fellas. I'll send all of you to hell together. The third elder's angry voice was like thunder. However, at this moment, no one had expected that the situation in the tomb would suddenly change. The Azure Dragon's breath came from the mouths of the 7 giant dragons. The entire space in the tomb was completely shrouded by the Azure Dragon's chi. One could not even see their own fingers. It's the Cyan Cloud Barrier. Be careful. This Cyan Cloud Barrier is an illusory formation. Bing Yun shouted. The 3 of them held hands and continuously retreated. The third elder and the others had completely fallen into a state of confusion. The appearance of the Cyan Cloud Barrier had caused them to lose their surrounding targets. The third elder could only give up on killing Jiang Chen. This is an illusory formation. Quickly retreat and guard your mind. Otherwise, you will definitely be bewitched by the illusory formation. The third elder shouted in a deep voice. Everyone's expression changed and they quickly retreated in an attempt to get away from the Cyan Cloud Barrier. This Cyan Cloud Barrier is really terrifying. It can actually corrode one's mind and invade one's soul. Jiang Chen was startled. At this moment, he felt that the Cyan Cloud Barrier had begun to envelop his entire body. The corrosive power that was comparable to a prairie fire caused Jiang Chen's mind to shake. However, Jiang Chen's soul had already reached the Emperor realm. The corrosive and illusory power of the Cyan Cloud Barrier was completely useless against Jiang Chen. Although Jiang Chen could not see with his eyes, his soul swept across the tomb and he could see everything. My sword, my sword. No one can take away my sword. Xueqi shouted and shook off Jiang Chen's hand. He tried his best to rush out but was completely shaken off by Jiang Chen. Xueqi was like a mad bull that had gone mad. He was like a wild beast that was charging recklessly. He has been controlled by the illusory formation of the cyan cloud barrier. Chapter 3004. Bingyun stabilized her state of mind. Her mind was pure and pure. She had grown up in the cold pond all her life, so she had no desires. Her soul power was stronger than Xueqi's, so she was able to completely guard her state of mind. In addition to her understanding of the cyan cloud barrier, even the third elder might not be able to get out of it immediately. Bingyun should be the first one to get out of the cyan cloud barrier. Brother Bai, Bingyun exclaimed. She wanted to save Xueqi but was stopped by Jiang Chen. If he can't break out of this illusory formation, it means that his soul realm isn't stable enough. However, if he can break out of the illusory formation, it means that his mind is firm and unparalleled. To him, this might be an opportunity. Jiang Chen said with a serious face. Bingyun was doubtful of his words, but she knew that Jiang Chen was Brother Bai's friend and would not harm him. I will definitely save him at the critical moment. Jiang Chen was afraid that Bingyun would ruin this opportunity, so he continued to say. Bingyun was slightly stunned. She did not expect that Jiang Chen's strength was not as strong as Brother Bai's, but he could completely ignore the cyan cloud barrier. He was too powerful and mysterious. No wonder Brother Bai was suppressed by Jiang Chen even though he was only a hierarch. It seemed that this fellow was quite capable. At the same time, the third elder and the others were not so lucky. Even the third elder and Do Tianhuang were trapped by the cyan cloud barrier. The reason was that both of them were too obsessed with the treasure and the great sovereign's tomb. On the contrary, Yang Shiquan, Qi Haifei, and Qian Renji were able to guard their minds and not be affected by the cyan cloud barrier. Although their soul realms were not strong, it was not a problem for them to guard their minds and avoid the barrier. The ones who suffered the most were none other than Yu Zhangji and Huang Bai. At this moment, Huang Bai's face was on full display. He was even more terrifying than Yu Zhangji. His heart was dark, but he pretended to be a gentleman. At this moment, the azure cloud barrier completely exposed the dark side of their hearts. Yu Zhangji, your time of death has come, Jiang Chen calmly said. His figure flashed and he flew past the azure cloud barrier like a bolt of lightning. In the boundless void, they were completely lost. However, Jiang Chen's heart was as clear as a mirror. Give me your life. Jiang Chen's sword shadow swept across, but the third elder leaped forward at this time. Kid, I've been waiting for you for a long time. You didn't even let off your own disciples. You really are a vicious and ruthless person. I can't let you live. Unknowingly, the third elder had already broken through the azure cloud barrier and was closing in on Jiang Chen. However, he couldn't pinpoint Jiang Chen's exact location. He could only move forward by feeling Jiang Chen's surging killing intent. The third elder's strength naturally arrived in an instant. Jiang Chen's sword slashed down, but it didn't kill Yu Zhangji. The might of the third elder's palm wind actually forced Jiang Chen to retreat. After all, the difference in strength between the two was too great. Unless he set up the Ashura sword formation, otherwise, Jiang Chen knew that it would be as difficult as ascending the heavens for him to defeat the third elder. Kid, where are you going? The third elder constantly searched for Jiang Chen's position. After his attack missed, he once again closed in on Jiang Chen, making a counterattack. I don't want to play with you anymore. Jiang Chen sneered. His figure flashed continuously. At this time, the Great Void technique was almost perfectly executed. The third elder couldn't even catch a trace of Jiang Chen. Trying to stop me from killing? You're not qualified. Jiang Chen arrived in a flash. With the Great Void technique, he crossed over and slashed Yu Zhangji's throat, instantly killing him. Yu Zhangji was killed. A smear of blood splashed on Huang Bai's body. Huang Bai's body also trembled and instantly broke free from the cyan cloud barrier. His heart shuddered. Looking at Yu Zhangji's decapitated body next to him, he gasped inwardly. Brother Jiang, you actually killed Yu Zhangji? Huang Bai said in shock. Those who stand in my way will be killed without mercy. Jiang Chen was calm and composed. He killed people like the wind, coming and going as he pleased. At this moment, Xueqi was also trapped in the cyan cloud barrier and became more and more crazy. However, Jiang Chen firmly believed that Xueqi wouldn't fall so easily. Although Xueqi's sword heart was inferior to his, he was definitely a true swordsman. In Xueqi's heart, Jiang Chen had always been an insurmountable inner demon. If he didn't break through this barrier, then it was likely to be a great crisis for his future cultivation. Bing Yun was extremely anxious, but Jiang Chen didn't let her take action. Xueqi's madness must be a great test in his heart. The illusory formation of the cyan cloud barrier, if the person was weak or had a weak mind, then he would be his biggest enemy. Xueqi took one step at a time and finally stopped. With a roar, he spat out a mouthful of blood and suddenly opened his eyes. At that moment, he defeated the cyan cloud barrier and himself. Brother Bai. Bing Yun directly threw herself into Xueqi's arms. Xueqi looked calm and unruffled. Jiang Chen knew that at least at this moment, he had broken through the barrier in his heart. Otherwise, he would definitely be trapped in the cyan cloud barrier. Congratulations, Jiang Chen said with a smile. Xueqi nodded at Jiang Chen. Although it wasn't a breakthrough in the realm, it was the release of his inner world. His sword heart would definitely be more stable because of this. Gradually, the cyan cloud barrier retreated. Only Yu Zhongji died here. Third Elder and Huang Bai hated Yu Zhongji even more. Among them, the only person Jiang Chen didn't see was Shangguan Yenyun. Where did he go? The cyan cloud barrier retreated. Where's the crystal sword? Where's the crystal sword? Qi Haifei exclaimed. Indeed, the crystal sword disappeared. At the same time, the person who disappeared was Shangguan Yenyun, who had been hiding in the dark. Damn it! Could it be that Shangguan Yenyun stole the crystal sword and left alone? Yang Shiquan said in a deep voice. It's highly possible. Shang Kuan nodded silently. Third Elder and the others looked unfriendly. At this moment, the best explanation was clear. Look, those 7 stone dragons are actually moving? Chen Renji said in surprise. Jiang Chen and the others had also escaped. However, Third Elder did not go to Jiang Chen immediately. The crystal sword was stolen and Shangguan Yenyun had disappeared. Now that the danger was upon them again, Third Elder must stabilize the situation. Although Yu Zhongji was not a core member, the loss of a hierarch realm expert was a great loss to the Tongxian mansion camp. They were all dead before entering the core of the tomb. The cannon fodder had been sacrificed. Who else would take the lead? The stone dragons are really moving. Bing Yun's face became a little ugly at this moment. Chapter 3005. What's that? Jiang Chen could tell that the stone dragons were not ordinary, but he was not sure. They shouldn't be stone dragons. Bing Yun frowned. They're true dragons. Obviously, the dragon breaths just now were spat out by them. Jiang Chen said faintly because he could feel a trace of dragon aura rising from those stone dragons. It was very similar to his own aura. If they were stone dragons, there would be no dragon aura. However, those stone dragons had already lost their life aura. True dragons? How could a true dragon die here? Moreover, there are 7 of them in a row. Such a large sum of money is truly shocking. Xueqi was also slightly shocked, but he did not know the origin of those stone dragons. Even Bing Yun was secretive about it. Be careful. Those stone dragons seem to be very aggressive. They're coming towards us. The Third Elder said quietly. 7 stone dragons appeared in front of everyone in a strange manner. Their terrifying aura was getting closer and closer. Every dragon's eyes were exuding a terrifying murderous aura that made people uncomfortable. Roar, roar. At this moment, the 7 stone dragons let out a deep roar. All 7 stone dragons shed their stone skin, revealing their green dragon scales. They raised their heads, but there was only endless killing intent in their eyes. There wasn't any true splendor in their eyes. The azure dragons soared into the sky. Their stone skin was shed and their aura had reached the peak. All of them had reached the middle hierarch realm. You've been dead for thousands of years. How big of a wave do you think you can make? Third Elder coldly snorted. He took the lead and rushed up to fight against the azure dragon. He fought against the azure dragon alone, and no one could escape from the azure dragon's pursuit, including Do Tian Huang. Damn it. A centipede dies but it doesn't fall down. Do Tian Huang shouted angrily. An azure dragon flew up and faced the enemy. As for the remaining 5 dragons, Yang Shiquan, Qi Haifei, Chen Renji, Bing Yun and the others fought against one dragon each. Jiang Chen, Xueqi, Huang Bai and Shang Kuan, who were weaker, fought against one dragon each. The terror of the Azure Dragon was completely out of their expectations. The terrifying dragon breath gushed out. It was even more terrifying than the sharp sword. The dragon's shape twisted and turned, fighting against the heaven and earth. Once the Azure Dragon appeared, who could contend against it? Except for the third elder and Do Tian Huang, almost everyone could not resist the Azure Dragon's aura. They retreated step by step. Jiang Chen and the others did not gain the upper hand against the Azure Dragon. Jiang Chen did not use his full strength. After all, the four of them were holding back. If they fought with their full strength and were killed by the Azure Dragon, the others might not be able to save them in time. At this moment, Jiang Chen was more concerned about the origin of these 7 Azure Dragons. If they were really from the Dragon Clan, then this 9 regions would be even more eye-catching. Back then in the icy Divine Dragon Palace, Qianyo was a super terrifying existence. However, he was not guarded by 7 Azure Dragons. He was just 9 remnant souls that were struggling at death's door. However, these 7 Azure Dragons seemed to have sworn to protect him with their lives, as if there was a kind of obsession in the depths of their souls. A divine dragon swung its tail and swept across 1,000 autumns. Jiang Chen and the other 3 were pushed back. At this moment, the third elder and Do Tian Huang pushed back the 2 Azure Dragons and entered the core of the tomb. The 2 of them did not care about the rest of the people. At this moment, Qian Renji and the others saw how heartless the third elder was. They even felt a little hopeless. They were being suppressed more and more unbearably. The Azure Dragon was too strong. Any kind of divine weapon or skill was useless in front of the Azure Dragon. Take care of yourselves. The Azure Dragons are too strong. I can only protect myself. After the third elder finished his words, he left without looking back. As for Do Tian Huang, he had already exerted all his strength to force the Azure Dragon to retreat. Moreover, he had nothing to do with the Tongxian mansion. How could he help them? I didn't expect that we would be ruthlessly abandoned like this. It's so sad. Yang Shiquan said with a wry smile. What can we do about it? The third elder couldn't even take care of himself. At this time, they could only run for their lives. Everyone looks out for themselves. Although the third elder is a bit heartless, it's not inappropriate. If it were us, we would also be exhausted from running for our lives. Qi Haifei shook his head and said, in the face of a crisis, they could only rely on themselves. At this moment, the 2 Azure Dragons did not chase after the third elder and Do Tian Huang. Instead, 7 Azure Dragons came out to fight against Jiang Chen and the others. The faces of Qi Haifei and the others turned pale. The strength of the Azure Dragons made them helpless. They had no chance of winning at all. If they continued to fight like this, they would be gradually killed by the 7 Azure Dragons. 8th Blade. Jiang Chen held the heavenly dragon sword in his hand and the sword shadow raged. When the dragon shadow faced the Azure Dragons, it actually overlapped with the Azure Dragons. As soon as the heavenly dragon sword appeared, the Azure Dragons stopped attacking Jiang Chen at this moment and changed their target. The remaining people became the targets of the Azure Dragons. The heavenly dragon sword has the real dragon soul chi. It seems that these Azure Dragons should be the real Dragon Clan in their bones. Jiang Chen murmured while stroking the heavenly dragon sword. Jiang Chen knew that the Azure Dragons would never attack him because he had the heavenly dragon sword, the most orthodox dragon soul chi. The Azure Dragons would not attack their own people. These 7 Azure Dragons are too terrifying. I am no match for them at all. Bing Yun exclaimed. She was forced back by the Azure Dragons again, and her injuries became more serious. The situation of Qian Renji and the others became worse. The departure of the third elder and Do Tian Huang had forced them into a dead end. They were loyal to the third elder, but they were abandoned at the critical moment. 7 Azure Dragons. It's up to you. Heavenly Dragon Sword. Jiang Chen stood up with his sword and the heavenly dragon sword swept across the void. As expected, everyone was protected by the heavenly dragon sword. At that moment, the 7 Azure Dragons completely stopped attacking. Everyone was shocked. They thought that they would be crushed to death by the 7 Azure Dragons. However, at the critical moment, Jiang Chen's sword protected everyone. The 7 Azure Dragons seemed to be frozen at this moment. It's done? The corner of Jiang Chen's mouth curled up into a faint smile. Everyone stared at Jiang Chen. Jiang Chen's heavenly dragon sword was too domineering. It shocked the 7 azure dragons. It was like a miracle. Hurry up. Leave this place as soon as possible. I don't know how long I can hold on. Jiang Chen said. All right. Everyone nodded their heads. They were reborn from a desperate situation. This was the credit of Jiang Chen. Hurry up. Jiang Chen urged. Everyone hurriedly entered the core area. At this moment, the 7 heavens azure dragons moved once again. This time, there were 7 men wearing golden armors appearing on the bodies of the 7 heavens azure dragons. A cold and sharp aura spread out at this moment. Jiang Chen also felt that his aura was completely sealed by the 7 men. I finally know who they are. Bingyun's pretty face was filled with despair. She murmured. Although they escaped from the core area, Jiang Chen was still there. That is the invincible divine weapon used by the great emperor to expand the territory, the Dragon Rider's heavenly guards. Chapter 3006. 7 golden-armored warriors stood on 7 azure dragons with golden helmets covering their faces, looking valiant and heroic. Their swords shone brightly. Dragon aura rose up and dragon roars could be heard. Each of the golden-armored warriors had a domineering aura. Their aura had reached the peak, or it could be said that they were invincible. Jiang Chen knew that these 7 dragon knights could easily kill him. Each of them had reached the late hierarch realm. Moreover, this was only Jiang Chen's guess. He did not know their true strength. Dragon Rider Heavenly Guards. They really are Dragon Rider Heavenly Guards. Why would these fellows appear here? Bingyun's face was filled with shock. Those invincible divine weapons that had helped the great emperor expand his territory when he was still alive could be said to be invincible. The 7 dragon riders were incomparably mighty and unparalleled in the world. Golden light flashed and sword aura soared. Jiang Chen was trapped within. The 7 dragon rider heavenly guards stood on the azure dragons and pointed their swords at Jiang Chen. Jiang Chen did not dare to face them. Such domineering dragon knights. Jiang Chen's heart trembled, but he knew that he had no way out. Dragon Rider Heavenly Guards, are they really so terrifying? Chen Renji asked in a deep voice. Jiang Chen was trapped. The 7 azure dragons had already made them afraid. Now that there were 7 dragon knights standing on the azure dragons, they might not even be a match for one of them. Chen Renji and the others were worried for Jiang Chen. Bing Yun's words made them feel that it was extremely troublesome. You guys don't understand what kind of existence the great sovereign's Dragon Rider Heavenly Guards are. They had defeated countless geniuses and struck fear into the hearts of countless experts. They are invincible under the Emperor realm. When the 7 of them fuse together, they are the absolute force of the northern cold divine continent. No one dares to face them head-on. To be more precise, they have fought for the great monarch for their entire lives and have almost never lost a battle. The 7 azure dragons fused into one with them. The true Dragon Rider Heavenly Guards even dare to compete with the great monarch. Bing Yun's words shocked Chen Renji and the others again. However, they also looked at Bing Yun suspiciously. How could she know all these? It was truly puzzling. It doesn't matter if you believe me or not. What I said is the truth. Bing Yun said lightly. Xueqi stared at the 7 dragon knights. At that moment, his eyes were full of fighting spirit. Brother Bai, you can't go. Bing Yun said resolutely. The might of the Dragon Rider Celestial Guards is unmatched by anyone below the great Emperor realm. Perhaps this is his good fortune. We can only take a step forward now. The chances of him surviving are very slim. Before Bing Yun's voice faded away, Jiang Chen had already clashed with the Dragon Rider Heavenly Guards. The 7 dragon riders were riding on azure dragons. Their sword chi was terrifying. Jiang Chen was no match for them at all. He was instantly suppressed by the 7 dragon riders, pushing back wave after wave. Xueqi wanted to save Jiang Chen, but he was pulled away by Bing Yun. At this moment, no one could save Jiang Chen. Chen Renji and the others' eyes were filled with despair. Go! Jiang Chen shouted. Everyone looked at him with a tragic expression. Yang Shiquan and Qi Haifei did not even have the face to look at Jiang Chen. Jiang Chen had risked his life to save them for the 3rd time. Jiang Chen had already done too much for them. Their lives were completely given by Jiang Chen. Now that the 7 Dragon Rider Celestial Guards were here, it was impossible for them to turn the situation around. Even a divine emperor expert might not be able to kill the Dragon Rider celestial guards in a second. Jiang Chen swept across the void. The heavenly dragon sword slashed down. The mountain rocks cracked and the space between them was completely blocked. Jiang Chen's figure also disappeared from their sight. Jiang Chen, I hope you won't die. Even if you die one day you will die in my hands. Xueqi stared at the layers of gravel in front of him and said in a low voice. For Xueqi, Jiang Chen was a friend of life and death as well as an enemy of life and death. His goal and belief was to surpass Jiang Chen. Although he had broken through his own realm in the Cyan Cloud Barrier not long ago, his friendship with Jiang Chen was still there. A friend of life and death, regardless of life or death, could not be changed. Now we can only move forward. Jiang Chen was able to avoid the attack of the bloodthirsty ghost bat. This time, he might be able to avoid the Dragon Rider celestial guards. Qi Haifei said in a low voice. Although their worries were useless, they still hoped that Jiang Chen could come out alive. However, the strength of the Dragon Rider celestial guards was too terrifying. No one could compete with them. Even if it was Jiang Chen, what could he do? I hope so. Yang Shiquan and the others fell silent and turned to leave. Qian Renji was unwilling, but the stone walls had completely blocked the way forward. She had no way to know how the battle between Jiang Chen and the Dragon Rider celestial guards was going. In the end, she could only let it go. In her heart, there was still a trace of hope for Jiang Chen. She hoped that he would not die here. Jiang Chen squinted his eyes and advanced step by step. He wasn't a match for the heavenly dragon guards, but Qian Renji, Yang Shiquan and the others also didn't have the strength to defend themselves. That was why he didn't ask them to help him. If he was alone, he might be able to escape, but if there were more and more of them, he would lose his initiative and become timid. Jiang Chen didn't want them to help him at all. The terror of the Dragon Rider celestial guards was beyond Jiang Chen's expectation. Even after using the dragon transformation, it was still difficult to resist these terrifying guys. They were indeed puppets without consciousness, but their fighting style was not rigid at all. The 7 of them were like a whole. Jiang Chen was completely suppressed and had no room to fight back. The heavenly dragon sword was unparalleled, but in the eyes of the 7 dragon riders, it was nothing. They simply ignored Jiang Chen's existence. Even if Jiang Chen wanted to use the soul-stealing divine technique, he did not know where to start. These 7 people did not have souls, but they seemed to have a strong will in their hearts to protect the tomb. Jiang Chen could completely avoid fighting the Dragon Rider celestial guards. If he escaped into the Zulong Tower, the Dragon Rider celestial guards would not be able to do anything. However, Jiang Chen wanted to have a thorough battle to strengthen his actual combat ability. Although the strength of a peak divine king was not terrifying, at least an ordinary hierarch would not be able to escape from his hands. However, in terms of actual combat ability, Jiang Chen still had to admit defeat under the Dragon Rider celestial guards. The Dragon Rider celestial guards' sword chi was shocking and their moves were ruthless. If it was not for the Great Void technique and the Heavenly Dragon Sword, Jiang Chen would have been torn into pieces by the 7 of them. I'm afraid these guys' strength had reached the Divine Emperor realm when they were alive. Chapter 3007. Even though Tian Huang and the 3rd Elder might have been killed, Jiang Chen used the Great Void technique to evade the attacks of the Dragon Rider's heavenly guards. However, the difference in strength was too great. Jiang Chen had to be careful and even suffered some injuries. However, he was extremely excited as he had benefited a lot from the fierce battle. Most importantly, Jiang Chen valued these 7 Dragon Riders. If he could subdue these 7 puppets, it would definitely make his trump card even more terrifying. He would be more confident when fighting against Tongxian Mansion and saving Long Shersan. However, as time went by, Jiang Chen realized that he was no match for the Dragon Rider's heavenly guards. Moreover, the chances of him being in a stalemate with them were getting lesser. Facing their terrifying attacks, Jiang Chen felt a little hopeless. Even if he set up the Ghost Prison Ashura sword formation, he might not be able to take them down. It was such a pity. However, their strength was beyond Jiang Chen's expectation. At this time, they could only run away. Jiang Chen performed the Great Void technique again and finally got rid of the Dragon Rider's heavenly guards, leaving them far behind. If these 7 puppets were conscious, Jiang Chen would not be able to escape even if he had the strength of an hierarch. The white jade doors were simple and unadorned. Under each of the white jade doors, there was a person kneeling beside each door. Although they had been dead for tens of thousands of years, their corpses did not decompose. Their cultivation level and the terrifying cold air were closely related. It's a person. Do Tianhuang squinted his eyes and stared at the second door in front of them. On the door, there was a person covered in cold air. His corpse had not decayed for hundreds of millions of years. He could even see the despair on the person's face. Even though he has been dead for so many years, he still has such a terrifying aura. It's unbelievable. The third elder said quietly. That person was nailed to this door by a sword. Do Tianhuang looked at that person in confusion. Although he was already dead, that person's eyes were filled with endless fear and despair. His corpse was pinned to death by a sword. Silver-white like frost, the sword chi was overbearing, untainted by dust, pure and holy like snow. However, on the contrary, the killing intent within the sword could not be concealed. That sword has such a murderous aura. The third elder sighed as he stared at the sword without moving. Although this sword was filled with killing intent, it was undeniable that it was even more powerful than the crystal sword from before. This sword's killing intent is so heavy. I don't think third elder is suitable for it. Heaven Do Huang said with a smile. I'm afraid you've also taken a fancy to this sword, right? Humph, that's a nice way to put it. It's true that I want this sword. The third elder sneered. Let's see who gets it. Do Tianhuang and the third elder squinted their eyes and gathered together. Although Do Tianhuang's strength was at the peak middle hierarch realm, he was not afraid of the third elder at all. You are no match for me, the third elder said with an indifferent expression. How would you know if you don't try? Your men are already gone. Do you think I'm afraid of you? Do Tianhuang roared and went straight for the third elder. The two of them exchanged blows in an instant. Terrifying airwaves rolled out. The third elder's moves were ruthless and his punches were overbearing. Do Tianhuang was good at formations. If he were to fight with the third elder in close combat, he would definitely be at a disadvantage. The third elder's palm strike was swift and fierce. He was determined to kill Do Tianhuang. Only by killing Do Tianhuang would he be able to rest easy. Moreover, this sword was extremely terrifying. He would never allow Do Tianhuang to get it. Get lost. The third elder's palm hit Do Tianhuang. Do Tianhuang was forced to retreat. His footsteps flashed and he stabilized his body. However, he was tripped by the man who had been dead for tens of thousands of years. He snorted and cursed in his heart. However, his pupils shrunk when he saw the pale and stiff face of the man who had been dead for tens of thousands of years. Stop! Tianhuang shouted in a deep voice. The third elder was also slightly stunned. Could it be that this fellow wants to beg for mercy? I don't want the sword anymore, Do Tianhuang said. Are you serious? The third elder frowned. He knew that even if he wanted to obtain the sword and defeat Do Tianhuang, he would definitely suffer a great loss. This was not the result he wanted. If that was the case, it would be very difficult for him to progress further in his exploration. Now that Do Tianhuang had taken the initiative to withdraw, the third elder was naturally very happy. Because I saw something more useful than that sword, Do Tianhuang said. He recognized that man because he had seen his portrait in the ancestral hall of his clan. The sixth ancestor of the Battle God clan. He was known as the most terrifying being after Emperor Heaven Reverse, the most powerful ancestor of the Battle God clan. He was also the peerless genius who was most likely to surpass his ancestor. That period of history was engraved in the hearts of almost every member of the Battle God clan. They dominated the central region Divine Land and were in the limelight for a period of time. At that time, the sixth ancestor might not be the strongest existence in the world, but he was the most terrifying peerless genius. His strength had already reached the Emperor realm. It was him who brought the Battle God clan to glory. However, for some unknown reason, there was a period of history that seemed to have been cut off. The sixth ancestor disappeared from the world for no reason, and there was no news of him. It was also from then on that the Battle God clan began to decline. From being one of the strongest clans in the world, it gradually fell into decline. Even in the northern cold divine region, the Battle God clan could not be ranked among the top 3. Is it really the sixth ancestor? Do Tianhuang said in a trembling voice. He squinted his eyes. If it really was the sixth ancestor, then he would be rewarded handsomely when he returned to the Battle God clan. The corpse of an Emperor Realm warrior was as precious as a primordial origin artifact. The sixth ancestor of the Battle God clan? Are you sure? The third elder's expression changed. He was well versed in the history of the past billions of years. How could he not know the most powerful sixth ancestor of the Battle God clan? It was a great emperor that had lived for thousands of years. Yes, he is the sixth ancestor of the Battle God clan, Do Shifeng. Do Tianhuang felt an inexplicable bloodline energy. It could not be wrong. Even though his first ancestor had passed away billions of years ago, he could still feel the connection between their bloodlines. More importantly, the face that Do Tianhuang could not bear to look at was the most eye-catching place in the ancestral hall of the Battle God clan, just below the Heaven Reverse Emperor. Do Shifeng, the most horrifying existence in the post-Emperor era of the Battle God clan. He was a true Emperor Realm warrior. However, he disappeared for no reason and disappeared in the long river of history. Because of this, the Battle God clan declined. I never thought that a hero of his generation would die in the tomb of an unknown ancient emperor. Chapter 3008. A renowned archenemy of the divine world was actually kneeling in front of the white jade door. At this moment, the third elder and Do Tianhuang were extremely shocked. Especially Do Tianhuang. His own ancestor was actually kneeling in someone else's tomb. Wasn't this a great humiliation to him? But on second thought, this terrifying great emperor must be extremely terrifying. Even the strongest genius great emperor of the Battle God clan was killed in this tomb. This coldness made Do Tianhuang speechless. Not to mention the nameless ancient emperor of the northern Liang. Even a peerless great emperor like Do Shifeng was enough to shake an entire region. But in this tomb of the great emperor, Do Shifeng died tragically. Even if the third elder was a fool, he also knew how terrifying the master of this tomb was. He even had the urge to retreat. Once he obtained this sword, he would turn around and never look back. However, the curiosity in his heart drove him. He clearly knew how terrifying the tomb of the great emperor was. He could die at any time, but he still made up his mind. Whether it was the strange formation, the burial ground, the huge floating stone, or the real corpse of the great emperor, they all made him tremble and even despair. If he continued on, what else was hidden behind the door? The third elder also did not know, but he understood that the danger would only become more and more terrifying. Do Tianhuang and the third elder exchanged a glance. Both of them looked at the person kneeling on the other side. Do Tianhuang's face changed again. The eighth ancestor. Do Tianhuang's face was full of despair. The eighth ancestor was at the peak of the divine emperor realm. He was already half a step into the emperor realm. How could he die here? Do Tianhuang's heart was filled with fear. He knew that he could not continue to stay here. The two ancient ancestors of the Battle God clan had both bowed down here. He knew that he did not have half the strength of the ancestors. If he continued to walk in this tomb of the great emperor, there would only be one ending. What awaited him was death. He is also the ancestor of your Battle God clan? The third elder's breathing became sluggish. Two primogenitors. This was a great discovery for the Battle God clan. That's right. I did not expect that the two top experts of my Battle God clan would die here. Do Tianhuang didn't know whether to laugh or cry. He didn't know if this was good or bad, but he would definitely be heavily rewarded for bringing back the bodies of the two primogenitors. Great emperor throughout the ages, someone who ruled over past and present, died here, disappearing without a trace. The third elder was getting more and more curious. The identity of the northern Liang ancient emperor was also getting more and more suspicious. Do Tianhuang kept the corpse of his primogenitor. However, both of them understood that the primogenitor's soul was no longer there. Moreover, the divine power in his body had been completely consumed by the sucking. It was just an empty corpse. It couldn't be considered a real treasure. However, it was of great significance to the Battle God clan. I don't plan on going any further. Third elder, you're on your own now. I'll leave now. Tianhuang said in a deep voice. His words caused the third elder to be slightly stunned. This guy really knew how to retreat. He left just like that? Are you really going to give up on this great emperor tomb that is filled with treasures? Even if there are endless treasures in front of me, I have to give it up. I'm carrying the two great primogenitors of my Battle God clan. I have to bring their bodies back to the Battle God clan. Do Tianhuang said in a deep voice. The third elder didn't say anything else. However, at this moment he had to think more deeply. Because if he continued on, the dangers he would face alone would be even more unimaginable. Do Tian Huang left. The third elder faced the white jade door and still took the same step. When he held the white jade divine sword in his hand, he was forced back by another force. The third elder retreated with a gloomy face. He suddenly lifted his head and looked at the person behind him. Who is it? Haha, third elder. Your contribution this time isn't small. When we return, I will definitely ask my second brother to reward you. The person who came was none other than the third residence master of Tongxian Mansion. Third residence master. The third elder's face changed slightly as he said with a smile. Why? Am I not welcome here? Ha ha ha, I didn't want to come. But since I have nothing to do in Tongxian Mansion, I thought of following you. I didn't expect to get such a great reward. The third residence master said with a smile. What are you talking about? Third residence master. I feel much more at ease now that third residence master is here. Ha ha ha. The third elder said with a fake smile. Now that the third mansion lord was here, even if he obtained something good, it would be impossible for him to keep it for himself. All right. I like this white jade divine sword very much. Third elder, please take it for me to have a look. The third residence master said. All right. The third elder was a little unwilling. However, the third residence master's strength had already reached the half-step divine emperor realm. He was not someone he could fight against. It would be a piece of cake for the third residence master to kill him. A half-step divine emperor and a late hierarch realm were completely different. Otherwise, the third elder would not be so respectful to the third residence master. The third elder took action again and took the white jade divine sword. However, no matter how hard he tried, he could not pull the sword out. How could this be? The third elder's face fell, but that terrifying sword chi seemed to have burst forth, forcing him back. This white jade divine sword is definitely not simple. Even the third elder can't pull it out? Haha, interesting. The third residence master said with a smile. His eyes were shining brightly. The third palace master's eyes turned cold as he rapidly closed in. He clenched his hand tightly onto the hilt of the white jade divine sword. However, no matter how much strength he exerted, he was unable to shake the white jade divine sword. What kind of sword is this? The third residence master's face turned gloomy. His face was extremely ugly. His attempt ended in failure. It was inevitable for him to lose face. The first door has been broken. The second door is the most important. There are a total of 3 doors in this great emperor's tomb. The second door's formation is the Universal Octopus Formation. The Universal Octopus Formation was one of the most terrifying formations of the 9 regions' ancient emperor. Even after hundreds of millions of years, it is still not to be underestimated. I was already shocked when the Dragon Rider Heavenly Guards appeared in the first door. Even if one obtained a treasure in this great emperor's tomb, he would still need to go through the Dragon Rider Heavenly Guards to get out. Only a peak hierarch realm expert would be able to enter the second door. As long as the formation is broken, the white jade divine sword will not be that hard to pull out. Chapter 3009. Bing Yun looked at the third palace master and the third elder coldly. At this moment, not only the two of them, but Qian Renji, Yang Shiquan, Qi Haifei, Shang Kuan and Huang Bai were also present. The third elder's eyes were sparkling with excitement and hesitation. Because he was the one who abandoned the people of the Profound Connection Divine Palace, but they managed to get out of their predicament. Undeniably, it was a great irony to him. You've escaped? The third elder asked. However, no one was willing to answer him. The third elder's face darkened. How could he not know the resentment in their hearts? When he received the news of the broken jade, he resolutely entered the tomb of the great emperor. He had already turned a blind eye to Qian Renji, Yang Shiquan, and the others. No one knew about this. After all, it was a life-and-death crisis. They had no way of knowing whether the third elder was really trapped and couldn't get out of it. However, when the third elder abandoned them for the second time, they finally knew that not only the students of Tongxian Mansion, but even they were also cannon fodder that could be sacrificed at any time in the eyes of the third elder. Third Mansion Master? Qian Renji and the others were slightly shocked. The third Mansion Master looked at them coldly. The third Palace Master has actually rushed over. This time, We have a pillar of support. Xueqi sneered. His words were obviously meant for the third elder. The third mansion master was naturally one level higher than the third elder. Whether in terms of status or strength, the third elder couldn't be compared to the third mansion master. The third mansion master had abandoned them, which had already made them resentful. Naturally, they wouldn't be too close to the third elder. Yeah, we should follow the third mansion master's footsteps. Don't you think so? Third elder, hee. The corners of young Xueqi's mouth curled up into a smile. Although they knew that the situation at that time could be said to be filled with danger, the third elder had fled without saying a word and abandoned them. Anyone who heard this would be bitterly disappointed. Furthermore, this wasn't the first time they had been abandoned by the third elder. Humph, the third mansion master is here. If you have any dissatisfaction, you can naturally complain to the third mansion master. The third elder snorted coldly. No need to say more. The most important thing is to unite. Who are you? How do you know so clearly? The third manor master narrowed his eyes and looked at Bing Yun. I saw it in an ancient book. Bing Yun said indifferently. She did not reveal her identity. The third palace lord and the third elder were not easy to deal with. They were definitely not good people. If it wasn't for the fact that Brother Xueqi wanted to enter the tomb of the great sovereign, she would definitely not be in the same group as these people. A formation? Looks like I've underestimated this great emperor's tomb. The third prefecture master shook his head slightly and reached out his hand to push open the white jade door. However, he was repelled by an extremely strong rebounding force. Third palace master. Everyone shouted at the same time. The third prefecture master's cultivation realm had already reached the half-step divine emperor realm, but even he was repelled by the formation. The Universal 8 Desolation Formation is a combination of the 6 elements. It gathers heaven, earth, human, divine, ghost, and demon. It's called the 6 harmonies. Unity leads to life. Separation leads to destruction. The 6 harmonies fused with the laws of heaven and earth. To break the formation is as difficult as ascending to the heavens. The 9 dragons demons subduing formation was just an appetizer. This Universal 8 Desolation Formation is the true grand formation. Otherwise, do you think that it's really that easy to enter the tomb of the great sovereign? Bing Yun said. Break it. The third prefecture master's eyes were cold. He did not believe Bing Yun's words at all. He exerted his full strength and bombarded the white jade door. However, he could not leave any mark on it. After a while, the white jade door was still standing. Everyone's face was filled with solemnity. If the Universal 8 Desolation Formation was hard to break, then they would definitely not be able to enter. I don't believe it. Third elder, attack with me and break through this formation by force. The third prefecture master glanced at the third elder. No one dared to be negligent. Although they did not like the third elder, they did not dare to disobey the third prefecture master's orders. With the third mansion master as the center, everyone began to attack the formation on the white jade door. Streams of terrifying energy struck at a single point, trying to break through the Universal 8 Desolation Formation. Finally, the Universal 8 Desolation Formation showed a slight tremor. The third mansion master's face lit up with joy as he continued to attack the formation with more energy. However, there was no response at all. It was like a clay ox entering the sea. Their divine energy struck the white jade door, but it had no effect at all. Damn this broken formation! The third palace lord grew angrier and angrier. Suddenly, his gaze shifted and landed on Bing Yun. That was because she was too familiar with the Universal 8 Desolation Formation and the tomb of the great emperor. If she said that there was nothing fishy going on, he wouldn't believe it. Now, he could only place his hopes on her. You break this formation. The third prefecture master looked at Bing Yun arrogantly. I can't break it. Bing Yun shook her head. Indeed, she did not have the ability to break this formation. Otherwise, there wouldn't be so many people surrounding her. Can't break it? Humph, then die for me. The third prefecture master sneered. The light in his eyes became colder and colder. It was even filled with bloodthirst and violence. You only have one choice now. I've already said that I can't break this formation. Forget it if you don't believe me. Then why are you so familiar with this formation? Trying to lie to me? Looks like you're not going to accept a toast only to drink a forfeit. If I don't teach you a lesson, you'll still be so stubborn. After saying that, the third prefecture master attacked forcefully, forcing Bingyun to submit. Bingyun's beautiful eyes flickered. Xueqi's face also turned gloomy. He and Bingyun were on the same side. Now that the third prefecture master wanted to attack Bingyun, he would naturally use all his strength to stop the third prefecture master, even though his strength was far from the third prefecture master's. The third prefecture master is too overbearing. This woman really doesn't know how to break a formation. The previous formation was also broken by Jiang Chen. Chen Renji said helplessly. The third prefecture master's power was overwhelming. Who dared to disobey him? If they dared to disobey, they would probably die. The third prefecture master's thunderous attack forced Bingyun to retreat. Even though she was a middle hierarch, Bingyun's strength was still far from the third prefecture master's. After 10 consecutive attacks, Bingyun and Xueqi could not cause any damage to the third prefecture master. You're courting death. Humph! Space-splitting palm. The third palace lord blasted out a palm strike, causing the void to shatter. His palm was like the heavens as it pressed down. Bingyun was forcefully suppressed, but she still resolutely stood in front of Xueqi and was heavily injured. If not, Xueqi would have suffered even more pain. After all, his strength was still inferior to Bingyun. Puff. Chapter 30:10. Brother Bai, I'm sorry. I couldn't stop it. Bingyun murmured. The bitterness at the corner of her mouth made Xueqi's heart ache. As a man, Xueqi was filled with anger and regret. It didn't matter if he was sentimental or heartless, but at this moment, he couldn't even protect his beloved woman. He didn't even have the courage to tell her. Xueqi felt that he was a failure and he was too angry. No one could understand the rage in Xueqi's heart at this moment. His sword essence became extremely violent and bloodthirsty at this moment. There was only one thought in his mind. That was to kill the third mansion master and avenge Bingyun. At this moment, Xueqi's eyes were bloodshot and filled with rage. I don't want you to become like this. Brother Bai, you're so scary. Bingyun's expression slightly changed as she whispered. I want to become stronger. I must become stronger. I want to protect my beloved woman. Xueqi said in a deep voice. Bingyun's face blushed. She had been waiting for this sentence for a long time. Her heart was filled with joy when Brother Bai said it. Even if she was seriously injured, how could she resist his longing? You're just an early hierarch and you dare to look at me? Humph! You're tired of living. The third prefecture master stared at Xueqi coldly. Xueqi also stared back at the third prefecture master fearlessly. Sword? My sword. Xueqi's eyes were cold as he stared at the third prefecture master. His strength was weak but domineering. At this moment, there was only the sword in Xueqi's heart and his eyes were filled with anger. Their gazes converged as one. Wang! A sword chime shook the heavens and earth. It was extremely ear-piercing. Everyone's expression changed slightly. At this moment, the sword that was nailed to the white jade stone door let out a buzzing sound and flew up to the sky. Xueqi's eyes flickered, but the third mansion master was faster than him and rushed up to snatch the sword. Skyfrost sword. It's the 9 regions' ancient emperor's Skyfrost sword. Bingyun cried out in alarm. However, the third palace master didn't succeed. Just as his hand was about to grasp the Skyfrost sword, it was corroded by a terrifying cold chi. His entire body felt like it was about to be frozen solid. The Skyfrost sword's cold chi forced him to retreat. The sword has a life of its own. What a spirit sword! The third palace master was forced to retreat by the frosty sword chi. He tried to snatch the sword 3 times, but he did not get what he wanted. That was because the terrifying sword chi made it impossible for him to attack. But at this moment, Xueqi moved. Facing the terrifying frosty sword chi, Xueqi was fearless. The frosty sword chi penetrated his body. Although he was holding the Skyfrost sword, his body was almost completely frozen. The frosty sword chi engulfed Xueqi completely. Brother Bai! Bingyun's eyes almost popped out of their sockets. She had never thought that Brother Bai would risk his life to seize the sword. He was practically throwing away his life, gambling with his entire family's life. Even the third palace master had retreated, but he still didn't give up and wanted to seize the Skyfrost sword. The Skyfrost sword was one of the most commonly used swords by the ancient emperors of the 9 regions. Bingyun knew this very well. The terror of the sword was enough to shock everyone. The frosty air of the Skyfrost sword was oppressive. The moment the sword was unsheathed, the frosty air had already filled the entire space. You're overestimating yourself. Humph. Even the third palace master could not get what he wanted. How dare you be so arrogant? You're destined to pay the price for your stupidity. The third elder sneered. There was even a hint of joy on his face. Xueqi thought too highly of himself. Even the third palace master flinched. Even a half-step divine emperor couldn't get it. What makes you think you can do it? In everyone's opinion, Xueqi had already gone mad. Bingyun did not expect Xueqi to be so crazy and obsessed with the sword. He even disregarded his own life for it. However, there was only one belief in Xueqi's heart. He must become stronger. He must obtain the sword. He must protect his beloved woman. For all these, he would not hesitate. Qian Renji and the others also sighed. After all, he was Jiang Chen's friend. However, this person was too reckless. Even the third palace master flinched. But he still faced the difficulty head-on. If this wasn't seeking his own death, then what was it? Bingyun stared at Xueqi, who was covered with frost, and felt as if a knife was twisting in her heart. Xueqi, who was standing with his sword, was completely frozen and covered with a thick layer of frost. Bingyun didn't expect that her beloved brother Bai would leave her just like that. No, I don't believe it. I don't want you to die. Brother Bai. Bingyun screamed at the top of her lungs, her voice deafening. There was only one sword in Xueqi's heart. The sword intent was extraordinary. It had already surpassed his soul. The sword intent was the obsession in the deepest part of his heart. The obsession turned into a sword. The sword intent became a prophecy. His anger soared to the sky and his sword intent was boundless. Xueqi's sword intent was full of anger, bloodthirst, killing and slaughter. At the moment when Bingyun was in despair, the frost on Xueqi's body began to crack and eventually fell off. At this moment, Xueqi's hand, which was holding the Skyfrost sword tightly, was badly mutilated by the cold air of the sword. However, he still refused to let go of the sword. No, this isn't my brother Bai. Bingyun cried. At this moment, there was only killing intent in Xueqi's eyes. He was like a god of death who had crawled out of hell. Endless fighting intent filled his heart. Kill. Xueqi pointed the sword at the third palace master. The third palace master's eyelids twitched. Even he did not expect that this guy could obtain the extremely terrifying Skyfrost sword. Especially when the sword was pointed at him. He felt an inexplicable pressure. How dare a grain of rice compete with the bright moon? So what if you have the divine sword? It's just a piece of scrap iron in your hands. The third palace master shouted in anger. At this moment, Xueqi moved. The Skyfrost sword in his hand was unstoppable. He also seemed to have the help of God. Who would have thought that Xueqi, who was holding the Skyfrost sword, could fight back and forth with the third palace master? That kind of arrogance was terrifying. Could an early hierarch realm be this strong? The third palace master did not expect Xueqi to be like a wild beast. His strength was not that strong, but the Skyfrost sword was too terrifying. Every strike of the sword sent chills down one's spine. It was a feeling of despair. Fortunately, the third palace master had the strength to avoid Xueqi's attack. Even so, Xueqi's arrogance forced him to go all out. Xueqi fought back and forth with the third palace master. Moreover, Xueqi's aura seemed to be constantly rising. His eyes were getting redder and his aura was getting more violent. The sword in his hand was getting more and more murderous. However, it was still not enough to defeat the third palace master. After all, the third palace master was too strong. Both of them were equally matched. If the battle continued, the third palace master was not sure if Xueqi could defeat him. Chapter 30:11. Brother Bai, Brother Bai. Bingyun shouted again and again. Xueqi's eyes became dazed for a moment. Wake up! In the dark, Jiang Chen's terrifying soul roar finally helped Xueqi to regain his consciousness. Just now when he was on a rampage, he was able to stand up to the third mansion master. However, the Skyfrost sword was too terrifying. This sword was good at devouring people's minds and souls. That was why Xueqi was completely dominated by the Skyfrost sword. At that moment, the sword soul of the Skyfrost sword resisted Jiang Chen greatly. However, It was an Emperor realm soul after all. Jiang Chen almost pulled Xueqi back from the gates of hell. Otherwise, if Xueqi's sword essence was completely controlled by the Skyfrost sword, the result would be unimaginable. Xueqi knelt on one knee, his face flushed. Fortunately, his eyes had become clear. The Skyfrost sword in his hand seemed to have lost its magic. Xueqi had adapted to the frosty sword Qi. In his opinion, this sword was almost tailor-made for him. It was even a little too easy for him to wield. Skyfrost sword, my Skyfrost sword. Xueqi silently stroked the Skyfrost sword and couldn't bear to put it down, even though he had almost hurt himself. The frosty sword's frosty sword was still frightening, but its frosty sword Qi had been completely restrained. Xueqi knew that it was Jiang Chen and Bing Yun who helped him regain his true self at the critical moment. Otherwise, if he had been controlled by the Skyfrost sword for a long time, he would have been doomed eternally. At this moment, no one dared to underestimate Xueqi anymore. Although he had suffered a lot of injuries, no one could forget the domineering demon-like Xueqi. Even the third mansion master didn't attack Xueqi and Bing Yun again. Congratulations, Xueqi. When Jiang Chen appeared in front of everyone was slightly shocked, but it was replaced by ecstasy. Qian Renji and the others were the same. At least now, if the third elder wanted to attack Jiang Chen again, they would definitely not stand idly by. I was just lucky. Xueqi shook his head and said, but Jiang Chen could see how excited he was deep in his heart. After obtaining the Skyfrost sword, his strength would certainly improve a lot. There was no doubt that his strength would rise along with it. Xueqi knew that Jiang Chen's soul roar was the key to pulling him back from the gates of hell. Otherwise, Bing Yun wouldn't have been able to do it. Xueqi felt how violent and bloodthirsty the Heaven Frost sword was. Even he couldn't fully control it. However, when he was furious, he was in perfect harmony with the Heaven Frost sword, even reaching a perfect integration. However, at that moment, he couldn't fully control the Heaven Frost sword, so he was controlled by it. At that moment, his sword intent received the most perfect interpretation. Reality proved that he was completely qualified to control this sword. It was just that now was not the right time. The Skyfrost sword used to be the sword of the 9 regions' ancient emperors. It was imaginable how terrifying it was. Even Bing Yun didn't want to talk about it. It was not difficult to imagine how many heads had been chopped off by the great ancient emperors and how many scorching lands had been dyed red. At this moment, even the third mansion master was extremely jealous. However, considering Xueqi's performance just now, he had to give up. Just now, Xueqi was like a mad dog. The demon god descended and was unstoppable. Whether it was the sword controlling the human or the human controlling the sword, the Skyfrost sword's dreadfulness made the third mansion master's heart palpitate. Jiang Chen, I told you that he wouldn't die so easily. Ha ha ha. Qi Haifei laughed and said. Jiang Chen nodded slightly to them. At this moment, the third mansion master also looked at Jiang Chen. When their eyes met, Jiang Chen frowned. He didn't know why, but the sudden appearance of this guy made Jiang Chen feel that this operation was not as simple as he had imagined. Intruder, die! A deep voice rang out in everyone's ears. What made everyone's hair stand on end was that this voice seemed to have traveled through the ages. The chill that came from the bottom of their hearts caused everyone to raise their eyes and look over. The person that had been nailed to death by the Skyfrost sword was slowly standing up. His mechanical body, stiff footsteps, emotionless and skinny face, as well as his chest that had been pierced through, caused everyone's hair to stand on end. That's the disciple of the great ancient emperor who betrayed him, one of the 3 gods of slaughter of the northern cold divine region, Lei Duo. He's still alive. This is impossible. Bing Yun said. The 3 gods of slaughter of the northern cold divine region? Lei Duo. Obviously, the third elder had studied the history of the northern cold divine region for billions of years. That's right. But that's already history. The cunning Lei Duo killed countless people, but he was still killed by the 9 regions' ancient emperor. Bing Yun said. I've heard of that battle. All the reputable people of the northern cold divine region were there. An extremely mysterious great emperor took action. Lei Duo couldn't even fight back. The god of slaughter of the northern cold divine region fell just like that. That mysterious great emperor was the northern cold ancient emperor? The third elder felt guilty. However, he was also shocked by Lei Duo, whose eyes were hollow and lifeless. He could not be any more dead. He's been dead for tens of thousands of years. It's impossible for him to come back to life. He's just an immortal will. What's there to be afraid of? Third Mansion Master Lung Lung said. This guy's strength had reached the peak Divine Emperor realm when he was alive. Be careful. Bing Yun transmitted her voice to Xueqi and Jiang Chen. Before Bing Yun's voice faded, the figure shot up and approached the Third Mansion Master and the others. If you're alive, I might have to respect you. Now that you're dead, why should I be afraid of you? The Third Mansion Master sneered. He was not afraid of Lei Duo, who had been dead for tens of thousands of years. The two of them exchanged blows in an instant. His steel-like arms kept smashing down. The Third Mansion Master could only retreat. His previous strong words became a joke at this moment. He couldn't fight back at all. It was all Lei Duo's strong attacks. They were not flashy, but they were so fast that it was dazzling. Everyone's expression changed drastically. What are you waiting for? If the Third Mansion Master is in danger, we'll definitely die. The Third Elder shouted. Yang Shiquan and the others also joined the battle. A few Hierarch Realm experts joined the battle and finally stopped the Third Mansion Master's declining momentum. However, it was still difficult for them to resist Lei Duo. His strong aura was terrifying. His body was like a diamond, invulnerable to swords and blades. Let's join in too. Otherwise, this guy is too terrifying. If we don't join hands to kill him, we'll follow in their footsteps. Jiang Chen said. All right. Xueqi nodded. The three of them also joined the battle. Chapter 30:12. With the Third Prefecture Master as the leader and the others as support, Lei Duo finally stopped his invincible momentum. The Third Elder and the others also showed their prowess at this moment. Although Lei Duo was terrifying, it was difficult for him to perform well under the siege of so many people. After all, he was just a wisp of his consciousness and it was difficult for him to achieve anything great. However, every time he attacked, he was extremely ruthless. Ordinary Hierarch Realm experts could not withstand his attacks at all. Shang Kuan and Huang Bai were the most tragic ones. Both of them almost died when they were hit by Lei Duo's palm. They retreated with serious injuries and their faces looked extremely terrible. Master, I will not let anyone covet your tomb. Never. Lei Duo murmured. His strength could shake the heavens and shake all directions. However, it was not easy for the Third Prefecture Master and the others to join hands. Both of them fought back and forth. The surrounding stone walls kept falling and the scene was extremely chaotic. However, Lei Duo did not have a soul and was only supported by a wisp of consciousness. He was destined to be a puppet. Moreover, his strength was no longer as terrifying as a peak Divine Emperor Realm expert after his death. He did not have any skills or divine powers. He only relied on his remaining wisp of consciousness to attack with such shocking power. It was not easy at all. However, Lei Duo's strength was still quite fatal to ordinary Hierarch Realm experts. Even Jiang Chen would not be able to fight with such ease if the Heavenly Dragon Sword did not absorb most of the power. On the contrary, Xueqi was out of Jiang Chen's expectation. The Skyfrost sword in his hand seemed to be used smoothly. It was not an exaggeration to say that the sword was tailor-made for him. Shang Kuan and Huang Bai were the first to retreat. Jiang Chen also retreated randomly. After all, his strength was too weak, so no one would say anything. However, at this moment, Jiang Chen was more concerned about the Third Prefecture Master and the Third Elder. They were his biggest enemies at this moment. Even without the help of Jiang Chen and the others, they were still able to fight with ease. Gradually, Lei Duo was heavily injured by the Third Prefecture Master and the Third Elder, and gradually fell into a disadvantageous position. Jiang Chen had been paying attention to the Third Prefecture Master's every move. His brows furrowed tightly. This guy was not simple. He made Jiang Chen feel extremely uneasy. A mantis trying to stop a chariot. Perish for me. In the end, the Third Palace Master launched a powerful attack, shattering Lei Duo's corpse with a single palm strike. Only then did the crowd finally heave a sigh of relief, as if they had been pardoned from death. The nervousness from before had caused them to feel the tightest tension in their lives. In the end, the Third Palace Master did not disappoint them. After defeating Lei Duo, everyone heaved a sigh of relief. At this moment, a crack slowly appeared on the white jade door. The Skyfrost sword had already been pulled out from the white jade door. Lei Duo was already dead, and the Universal 8-directional formation had already collapsed by itself. Where are Shangkuan and Huang Bai? Yang Shiquan's expression changed. Where did these two people run off to? They had actually disappeared without a trace. Even Jiang Chen was taken aback. The two of them had previously suffered heavy injuries, so he did not pay much attention to them. However, after hearing Yang Shiquan's words, everyone realized that the two of them seemed to have disappeared without a trace. This strange scene once again caused a layer of haze to cover everyone's hearts. The third elder stared at the now half-closed white jade door, while his footsteps became extremely heavy. Only he knew in his heart that behind this white jade door, there was a great danger waiting for them. The crystal sword, the suspended space stone, the battle god clan's primogenitor, the northern Liang god of slaughter. Everything was getting more and more bewildering, and the danger had never been absent. Could it be that the two of them were also afraid of the danger here and ran away? Said Qi Haifei. However, even he didn't believe his own words. That was because Shangguan Yenyun had also disappeared without a trace in the past. No one had even noticed it. Even Jiang Chen did not notice it at this moment. Although his Emperor Realm soul was concealed, it was extremely difficult for Jiang Chen not to notice if someone left his side. However, the disappearance of Shangguan Yenyun, Shang Kuan and the others had made him feel helpless. The Emperor Realm soul had made Jiang Chen feel helpless for the first time. It's fine if they're gone. They're just a burden even if they're still here. The third mansion lord said faintly. However, these words still made people feel sour in their hearts. After all, they were also the people of Tongxian Mansion. If they disappeared without a trace, perhaps the result would be the same. They would be completely forgotten by the people. Jiang Chen sighed. Tongxian Mansion was an emotionless divine mansion. How could he say that he did not have a sense of belonging? From the beginning, he felt that this place was like an Ice Lung Leng's cage. Third elder, let's go. I'd like to see what's hidden behind this white jade door. The third palace master took a step forward and was the first to rush in. With a wave of his palm, he pushed open the white jade door. At that moment, everyone was shocked and rooted to the ground. It was like a treasure mountain. Countless divine origin stones were piled up like a mountain. Divine weapons of various grades were everywhere. Spirit pearl grimoires, jade phoenix golden hairpins, and spiritual medicines that were sparkling with spiritual light were all swaying left and right in the poolch. Even the third mansion lord's eyes gradually narrowed at this moment. This was truly a huge treasure trove. There were wealth everywhere, divine weapons and treasures everywhere. There were even more than 100 primal origin treasures and more than 10 primal origin treasures. However, without exception, all of them seemed to have lost their charm and were all damaged. Even so, Jiang Chen's heart was moved. Everyone stared at this scene without blinking. Behind the white jade door, the treasure mountain was revealed. Everyone's greed was magnified at this moment. Facing so many treasures, who wouldn't be moved? Jiang Chen roughly estimated that there were more than 10,000 divine weapons and treasures here. This was what moved him the most. There were more than a dozen damaged primal origin treasures, 100 primal origin treasures, and even heavenly divine weapons. There were thousands of them. There were countless divine weapons. His heart was burning with excitement. Jiang Chen discovered that these divine weapons and treasures were all swords without exception. They had different shapes and different powers. However, every sword seemed to have its own soul. With a glance, it was boundless. The swords and divine origin stones were the greatest treasures. However, when Jiang Chen thought about it, he felt an endless coldness in this place. There was not a shred of vitality. Even his vitality seemed to be flowing away. However, this feeling was very slow and subtle. Jiang Chen relied on his terrifying recovery ability to not care about it. However, to the others, this was a disguised weakening, or even slaughter. This treasure mountain might be a prison of life and death. Chapter 30:13. The Bronze Throne. It was the Bronze Throne again. Jiang Chen's heart was incomparably shocked. This was an existence that no one knew about. He also didn't know how terrifying this Bronze Throne was. However, he knew that the man in the ice and even the destructive ice god were extremely secretive about the Bronze Throne. They were existences that stood at the top of the pyramid of the divine world. At least until now, Jiang Chen still didn't know who the man in the ice was, what kind of background he had, and what kind of expert the destructive ice god was. From this, it could be seen that his terror was self-evident. The man in the ice had always been a hurdle in Jiang Chen's heart. That person seemed to be one with the heavens and earth. Everything he did was natural. He didn't seem strong, but it seemed like even the heavens couldn't do anything to him. Moreover, he was extremely serious about the bronze throne. Jiang Chen had no choice but to be cautious. The bronze throne wasn't a divine weapon or treasure. In this treasure mountain, it wasn't even worth mentioning. Who would care about a rusty bronze throne? Even so many treasures couldn't be picked up, let alone a scrap of copper and iron. Jiang Chen discovered that at this moment, he felt that he had been enveloped in a formation. The universal 8-direction formation had been activated once again. Or it could be said that this formation had never been broken before. Could it be that the opening of the white jade door was just an illusion? The Skyfrost sword being pulled out and Lei Duo being completely destroyed were all just a smokescreen? Jiang Chen felt a trace of uneasiness in his heart. However, no one needed the bronze throne more than he did. Now that there were 3 bronze thrones, Jiang Chen was determined to obtain the 4th one. Although he still didn't know what this bronze throne was and what kind of background it had, if even the man in the ice was afraid of it, it definitely wasn't an ordinary item. It might be one of the most important items in this treasure mountain. Jiang Chen didn't have time to think too much. He went straight to the bronze throne because it was the only thing he valued. Although the remaining treasures were precious, they weren't enough to make him go crazy. However, besides Jiang Chen, everyone's eyes were blazing. The clearest one was Xueqi. He only had eyes for the sword. Now that the Skyfrost sword was in his hand, there was no point in looking at the thousands of divine weapons anymore. Because there wasn't a sword that could be stronger than the Skyfrost sword. Jiang Chen didn't hesitate. He only had eyes for the bronze throne. At that moment, Jiang Chen's face trembled slightly as he held the bronze throne in his hand. He felt as though his soul was almost sucked out of his body. After a moment of absent-mindedness, he heard an incomparably shocking scream from behind him. Jiang Chen turned around abruptly, but it was already too late. The 3rd Mansion Master had actually killed Yang Shiquan and Qi Haifei in a thunderous manner. No one had expected that the 3rd Mansion Master would be so ruthless. He didn't care about his fellow disciples at all. The 2 mentors of Tongxian Mansion had actually died in the hands of the 3rd Mansion Master. 3rd Mansion Master, Yu. Yang Shiquan's face was deathly pale. Even in death, he was unwilling to believe that he had served Tongxian Mansion for millions of years. How could he be killed in such a merciless manner? It was a great mockery. Qian Renji also quickly retreated with an ugly expression. She had already felt that something was wrong with the death of Yang Shiquan and Qi Haifei. The 3rd Mansion Master was too ruthless. He didn't show any mercy to his subordinates. If Qian Renji hadn't escaped in time, she wouldn't have been able to escape. However, the 3rd Mansion Master's target was Qian Renji. 3rd Mansion Master, this. The 3rd Elder was also dumbfounded. It was completely unreasonable for the 3rd Mansion Master to be so ruthless. After all, they were all people of Tongxian Mansion. However, the 3rd Mansion Master's thunderous methods were too cruel. They know too much. They shouldn't continue to exist. The things that belong to Tongxian Mansion shouldn't be taken by others. They can only blame themselves for being greedy. I didn't see a trace of loyalty in their eyes. It's better to kill these people so that they won't cause me any trouble in the future. They might even want to betray me and leave. What do you think? 3rd Elder. Therefore, I have to nip this crisis in the bud. The 3rd Palace Lord said with a smile. His words had a double meaning, and were also meant for him to hear. The 3rd Palace Lord was actually this cruel, to the point where he wouldn't even spare his own subordinates. To the 3rd Palace Lord, the 3rd Palace Lord's value might be even higher. Their strength wasn't enough, and the only way was to kill them quickly. Only then would the 3rd Palace Lord be incomparably clear of his intentions. Loyalty was only because the bargaining chips for betrayal were not enough. However, what happened in front of him was unavoidable. I understand, 3rd Mansion Master. The 3rd Elder said in a low voice. Although he didn't care about those teachers back then, it was only because he didn't have the power to reverse the situation. However, the 3rd Palace Lord had truly crushed all of them. The meaning behind this was completely different. In his heart, was there still anyone he could trust? I'm just a chess piece, isn't I? The 3rd Elder couldn't help but raise his guard against the 3rd Palace Master. Once the cunning hare was killed, the hound would be cooked. When the birds were gone, the fine bough would be hidden. He didn't want to follow in the footsteps of Qi Haifei and Yang Shiquan. If he tried to escape at a critical moment, the third palace master might not be able to kill him. Qian Renji's heart was beating faster. Qi Haifei and Yang Shiquan were her friends. They were mentors. However, they were killed by the third mansion master in an instant. Qian Renji felt sad. The Tongxian mansion couldn't accommodate anyone. Even a mid-hierarch realm expert like her was considered a burden. Now that countless treasures were right in front of him, the third mansion master had the intention to kill everyone. Only by killing them could he be at ease. The treasures here would not be taken away by outsiders. His despicable heart was colder than anyone else's. Do you want to kill all of us? Xueqi looked at the third mansion master and Lang Lang and said, So what? The current you shouldn't be a match for me. Unless you take another gamble and use your life as the price. The third mansion master could see that Xueqi was able to achieve such terrifying power because of the Skyfrost sword in his hand. Xueqi's strength was only at the early stage hierarch realm. It was impossible for Xueqi to compete with him. Unless he was willing to sacrifice his life. That would not only consume his body but also his potential. He would be controlled by the Skyfrost sword and become a sword slave. No, brother Bai. Bingyun held Xueqi's hand tightly. She was afraid that Xueqi would become like that again. She would rather leave now. However, she knew that brother Bai would not give up so easily. Get out of here or die. The third mansion master took a step forward. A strong force swept out. The reason why he did not attack Xueqi was because he was afraid of Xueqi. If Xueqi fought with his life, the outcome would be uncertain. Therefore, it would be best if he could force Xueqi to retreat. If Xueqi wanted to fight against him, he would have to pay with his life. As for you, go and accompany them. The third mansion master sneered. He formed a seal with his hand and struck with his palm. The weather changed and Qian Renji's face darkened. This palm was not something that Qian Renji could withstand. Qian Renji had never thought that she would die here. She had given her all for the profound connection divine palace, but what she got in return was such a miserable ending. She even died in the hands of her own people. The ninth saber. Zhang Chen was not afraid at all. He struck with his sword and leaped into the air. The Great Void technique teleported in front of Qian Renji. Even the ninth saber could not resist the third mansion master's attack. Zhang Chen was sent flying backward. However, the heavenly dragon sword had helped him to reduce most of the force. Although Zhang Chen had tried his best, he did not let Qian Renji die. He saved her at the last moment. Chapter 30:14. Qian Renji was startled. Zhang Chen's mouth was already bleeding. Even she did not dare to block this attack, but Zhang Chen had blocked it. If you want to kill her, you may have to ask the sword in my hand, Zhang Chen said faintly. Qian Renji had helped him in Tongxian Mansion. Most importantly, she had a relationship with Ziqing Tian. If he did not save her, how could he face Ziqing Tian? His father still needed Ziqing Tian's help in Linhe boundary. Zhang Chen had to save her. Not bad. To be able to receive this palm of mine, you've really surprised me. But, it's a pity that your strength is far, far too weak. Wanting to rescue someone from the hands of this palace master is simply a fantasy. The third lord looked at Zhang Chen with disdain. That sword strike just now was indeed shocking. But in his eyes, Zhang Chen's strength was too weak. It was hard for him to pay attention to Zhang Chen. Zhang Chen, get out of the way. You are no match for him. It's better for you to leave. Qian Renji said in a low voice. Want to leave? Could he leave? Humph. The third mansion master's eyes were cold. He had made up his mind to kill those he wanted to kill. No one could leave alive. Zhang Chen, let me help you. Xueqi shouted in a deep voice without fear. Even in the face of death, he did not give up on Zhang Chen. Zhang Chen was his only friend, his only enemy and confidant that he could respect. Only Zhang Chen could understand Xueqi's swordsmanship. Since you want to fight to the death with me, I will fulfill your wish. Do you really think that I don't dare to kill you? Even if you have the Skyfrost sword, you are no match for me. The third mansion master seemed to have made up his mind. Since Xueqi wanted to have a life-and-death battle with him, he would not retreat. He had to kill Zhang Chen and Qian Renji. Otherwise, his position would be greatly threatened. He didn't like the feeling of losing control. He was the only one who could have the endless treasures. Third Elder, I'll leave the other 3 to you. Kill them all and leave none alive. All right, the Third Elder said in a deep voice. Qian Renji, Bing Yun and Jiang Chen were middle hierarch realm experts. He could easily kill a guy who was not even at the hierarch realm. I'm sorry, Master Ji. It's hard for me to defy the orders of the Third Prefecture Master. There's no point in talking anymore. Third Elder, this battle will only end when one of us falls. Qian Renji said faintly. Qian Renji was not afraid of death. She was afraid that she would never see Ziqing Tian again. If we both die here, will I never be able to see the sky again? I won't die and neither will you. Jiang Chen shook his head and said. Xiaoxin, you're so confident. It's a pity that you think you can stir up a storm? Today, I'll let you see how strong the elders of Tongxian Mansion are. The Third Elder snorted and said. He did not like Jiang Chen's arrogance. Therefore the 3 of them must die in this battle. Jiang Chen, will brother Bai, Bing Yun said worriedly. Don't worry. If he really falls, we won't be able to live either. Therefore he won't die. If he doesn't defeat the Skyfrost sword, he will never become the sword's owner. He will only be a sword slave. This is the only way for him to go. After saying that, Jiang Chen pointed his sword at the Third Elder. The battle between the 3 of them and the Third Elder was not to be underestimated. This battle was related to their life and death. Jiang Chen could not afford to be careless and he did not dare to be careless. Bing Yun and Qian Renji couldn't die in his hands. This was his promise and also his mission as a man. Penetrating cloud palm. The Third Elder's attack was as fast as lightning. His qi was able to swallow the mountains and rivers. Bing Yun and Qian Renji did not dare to underestimate him. The 3 of them were engaged in a fierce battle. The Third Elder had an overwhelming advantage, leaving no room for the 2 girls to attack. As Jiang Chen had expected, the 2 girls were in a disadvantageous position. Jiang Chen let out a dragon roar. Under the dragon transformation, his strength had reached the peak early hierarch realm. At least, he was not weaker than the other 2. On the other side, Xueqi glanced at Jiang Chen and felt relieved. Jiang Chen had never disappointed him. He hoped that Jiang Chen could defeat the Third Elder this time. Xueqi could not figure out Jiang Chen's strength, even at this moment. With the Skyfrost sword in his hand, it would be easy for him to defeat Jiang Chen. However, he would definitely be controlled by the Skyfrost sword. Even if he defeated Jiang Chen, it would be an unfair victory for Xueqi. However, with the Skyfrost sword in his hand, Xueqi's aura was no longer the same as before. It's all up to you to defeat this guy. Xueqi glanced at the Skyfrost sword in his hand. The sword qi was buzzing. Although the Skyfrost sword was under Xueqi's control, it was still too early to subdue it. If Xueqi wanted to become the sword's master, he must start from being a sword slave. If he could not make the Skyfrost sword submit to him, he might become a slave forever. Why? If you're afraid, you can choose to surrender now. I might spare your life. The Third Mansion Master smiled and stared at Xueqi. You're thinking too much. Ask the Skyfrost sword in my hand first. Xueqi's eyes narrowed. The Skyfrost sword's sword qi was oppressive as it shook the universe. He took the initiative to attack the Third Mansion Master. The 2 of them were entangled with each other. A life-and-death battle was just around the corner. No one knew who would be the one laughing until the end. Although the Third Elder was strong and had reached the late hierarch realm, the 3 of them were no longer weaker than the Third Elder after Jiang Chen intervened. Good. Kid, you've made me look at you in a different light. The Third Elder shouted in a low voice. His movement was not slow at all. A silver-white long spear was held tightly in his hand. The spear was emitting a dazzling light. In an instant, the Third Elder's qi rose by a huge margin. The divine spear rotated and became invincible. Under the suppression of the Third Elder's divine spear, Bing Yun and Qian Renji were in a disadvantageous position once again. Jiang Chen was the main attacker. His sword and spear collided with the Third Elder. Jiang Chen was like a sharp spear among the 3 of them. He dashed forward while the 2 ladies protected Jiang Chen from the left and right sides. However, the Third Elder was experienced. He was a late hierarch realm expert after all. He knew that Jiang Chen's spear was too fierce. He had to break through them one by one. Bing Yun and Qian Renji became the focus of his attack. The third elder had been avoiding Jiang Chen from beginning to end. Instead, he took the initiative to attack the other two. As expected, Bing Yun and Qian Renji could not withstand the third elder's mad dog aura. The silver long spear, the red tassel, and the spear's radiance were unparalleled. Poisonous dragon cloud-piercing spear. Chapter 30:15. Bing Yun and Qian Renji were both forced back by him and suffered serious injuries. Only Jiang Chen was struggling. However, the third elder's overlord divine spear would not give Jiang Chen any chance. He must finish the battle quickly and kill the three of them as soon as possible to help the third mansion master. The third elder sneered. His attacks became more and more powerful. Wherever his spear passed, the void cracked. Bing Yun and Qian Renji could not withstand the third elder's ferocious aura. After all, he was a late hierarch realm expert. His strength should not be underestimated. At this moment, the third elder's aura was fully displayed. Although Jiang Chen did not show any weakness, the two people beside him were completely defeated and heavily injured. Toxic Dragon Divine Drill. The spear shadows changed again and swept across the sky and earth like a tornado. Bing Yun and Qian Renji could not withstand such an attack anymore. The spear shadows turned into the wind and turned into quicksand. Jiang Chen held his saber horizontally and horizontally. His heavenly dragon sword slashed horizontally and horizontally. The starlight was fearless and sharp, cutting through all the thistles and thorns to avoid the toxic dragon divine drill. However, he also staggered. As for Bing Yun and Qian Renji, they were not so lucky. The two of them were swept away again. Blood spurted out from their mouths as their injuries became more serious. Humph! You overestimate yourself. Dang! The third elder's spear aura rose again. Unfortunately, Bing Yun and Qian Renji did not have the strength to fight anymore. Only Jiang Chen dashed forward and fought with the third elder with his sword. Each of his moves was fatal. Jiang Chen advanced step by step, but he could not use his strength at all. After all, the third elder's strength was much stronger than his. More importantly, he had to protect the two people behind him. You guys retreat first. I will fight him. Jiang Chen shouted out angrily. The third elder even snorted disdainfully at Jiang Chen. The three of you can't do anything to me, so what can you do alone? But how can you fight him alone? Qian Renji was extremely worried. She was Jiang Chen's mentor and her strength was above Jiang Chen. Now, a man who was not even at the hierarch realm was standing in front of them. Qian Renji was extremely embarrassed. As a man, sometimes we have to stand up. Even if we can't win, we can't retreat. Moreover, what if there is a chance? Jiang Chen wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth, and his eyes became brighter and brighter. He looked at the third elder with a playful smile. Ha ha ha, this is the biggest joke in the world. Do you really think you are invincible? Do you really think that you are? Your strength has yet to reach the hierarch realm. You want to go against me? You're still weaker than me. If I don't teach you a lesson today, do you really think that you, the #1 Outer Mansion disciple, will dare to be arrogant in front of me? Traitors of Tongxian Mansion. Today, I'm going to clean up the house for Tongxian Mansion. The third elder spoke righteously and passionately, as if Jiang Chen and the others were heinous traitors, while he stood on the moral high ground. However, to Jiang Chen, the third elder was just a dog of Tongxian Mansion. He really didn't take him seriously. The only person who really moved him was the third mansion master. Jiang Chen, be careful. Qian Renji had already given up. After all, how could a late divine king and a late hierarch be compared? Perhaps it could be said that from the very beginning, they had been struggling on their deathbed. Wanting to defeat the third elder and the third palace master was as difficult as ascending to the heavens. No matter how talented he was, without room for growth, Jiang Chen was still no match for the third elder. Time was like a song, and time could change everything. If Jiang Chen was given 500 years, the result might be very different. However, the current Jiang Chen had almost zero chance of winning against the third elder. Even if there are millions of people, I will still go forward. If you want to kill me, you have to ask the sword in my hand first. Jiang Chen could feel that his sword had become even more powerful at this moment, especially the starlight. He had never thought that it would have such a huge increase in power. It was even more shocking than his sword qi. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to withstand the third elder's desperate attack. The lonely sword once again made Jiang Chen see the hope of victory. Life was lonely. His sword had also become extremely lonely. Among those who had laughed with Jiang Chen, only Qingqing was left. Jiang Chen's heart was filled with worry and longing. Therefore, his sword intent had become even more lonely at this moment. If he couldn't walk out of this great sovereign's tomb, how could he comfort his heart? Qingqing was waiting for him, Sister Ning was waiting for him, Little Yu was also waiting for him. He couldn't fall, he wanted the world to open up. He wanted to be the person who could laugh proudly in the heavens. If the sword is not stained with blood, how can it be buried in the blue sky? Jiang Chen murmured. His heart was undefeatable. He couldn't be defeated, and he couldn't be defeated. You're not qualified to stain my blood. Next, it's time for you to die. The third elder and Jiang Chen met again. Jiang Chen did not hesitate and summoned all 12 fire god guards. At the same time, he also displayed the ancient soaring dragon technique to increase his strength. Although his strength had yet to break through to the hierarch realm, Jiang Chen was not afraid to fight against a late hierarch realm expert. As Jiang Chen's strength continued to rise, even the third elder's eyes became solemn. Bing Yun and Qian Renji looked at each other. Their eyes were filled with shock. Even they couldn't defeat Jiang Chen at this moment. His hidden strength was so terrifying. Now, Qian Renji finally understood what it meant to be a wolf in sheep's clothing. Perhaps she, as a mentor, was also vulnerable in Jiang Chen's eyes. This is his real strength, Qian Renji said with a bitter smile. A peak divine king who could fight against a late hierarch realm expert was unheard of for millions of years. She had seen countless geniuses, but Jiang Chen was someone that even she was shocked by. Xueqi looked back at Jiang Chen. Although he was shocked, he was used to it. Jiang Chen had never disappointed him. Even when he obtained the Skyfrost sword, Jiang Chen was still as calm as a mountain. At that moment, Xueqi understood that Jiang Chen's strength was far more than what he had shown. Bing Yun and Qian Renji were both 100 times stronger now. Jiang Chen's strength was finally forced out by the third elder. Jiang Chen's strength had greatly increased at this moment. With the help of the ancient soaring dragon technique, Jiang Chen was not weaker than the third elder. Even if his strength was still lacking, there was no difference in the battle between the two of them. Jiang Chen's sword shadows were crisscrossing. The Sword of Solitude. Each sword was stronger than the previous one, sharper than the previous one. Jiang Chen's sword essence was lonely. As he moved forward with his sword, the 10 miles horizon protruded loftily. Jiang Chen's eyes were like torches and his gaze was like a sword. As he fought with the third elder, spear radiance flashed and sword shadows blurred. His strength was not any weaker than the third prefecture master's. The stronger the opponent, the stronger the opponent. This was also the embodiment of Jiang Chen's strength. Facing a strong opponent, Jiang Chen would only face it head-on. Jiang Chen's sword energy shook the sky, causing the void to be hundreds of meters wide. Jiang Chen's energy covered the heavens and earth as he slashed through the heavens. As the third elder fought with Jiang Chen, he could feel how frightening Jiang Chen was. Every strike of Jiang Chen's sword seemed like it was stabbing into his chest. Although the outcome of the battle had yet to be determined, the difference between the two of them was clear. The Sword of Solitude finally launched a crazy attack on the third elder. Chapter 30:16. Jiang Chen's expression was cold. His sword was like a ray of light, shining like the stars in the sky. The dreadful sword Qi was sweeping across the sky, and the spear light was cut into many afterimages. Jiang Chen's expression was emotionless and calm. The Sword of Solitude had formed an unstoppable sword aura, completely oppressing the third elder, making it hard for him to resist. Jiang Chen's aura was getting stronger and stronger. The Sword of Solitude seemed to have the help of God. Jiang Chen's aura had also reached its limit. The third elder was overwhelmed and fell into a passive position. Every move and spear radiance had lost its initial elegance. What a terrifying fella. This fella is too strong. The third elder felt even more shocked. At such a young age, Jiang Chen's strength had not reached the hierarch realm yet, but he could be so terrifying. It was really frightening. However, the third elder could see that Jiang Chen was forcefully increasing his strength. He thought that Jiang Chen's current fighting condition would not last long. As long as he could drag this period of time, Jiang Chen's attack would definitely weaken. That would be his chance. However, the third elder did not know how fast Jiang Chen could recover. Although the ancient soaring dragon technique consumed a lot of his strength, Jiang Chen did not need to worry too much. At least, he did not need to worry about it as long as he could defeat the third elder. Starlight. The Sword of Solitude stirred up waves again. A sword shadow crossed the void and destroyed the third elder in an instant, causing him to lose his ability to fight. Firmament Divine Shadow. The third elder's spear pierced through the void and collided with Jiang Chen's Sword of Solitude. Jiang Chen did not expect that the Sword of Solitude could completely destroy the third elder. The starlight had completely suppressed the third elder's aura. No! The third elder roared in a low voice. His face was ferocious and terrifying, but Jiang Chen's sword intent had already reached his throat. The third elder's bloodthirsty silver spear was completely shattered by Jiang Chen's sword. Above the void, there were spear shadows, but it had already lost its body. The third elder was forced back by Jiang Chen's sword, but his chest had already been completely pierced. If he was not strong enough to protect his heart meridian, he would definitely be killed by Jiang Chen's sword. The Sword of Slicing Throat was defeated with a single strike. The battle between Jiang Chen and the third elder was completely under Jiang Chen's control. The ancient soaring dragon technique had raised Jiang Chen's strength to a terrifying level. No one had expected that his strength could rival a late hierarch realm expert. Jiang Chen had completely surpassed the third elder in this battle. Puff! Blood kept spurting out from the third elder's mouth as he kept retreating. Meanwhile, Jiang Chen let out a long sigh of relief. He had used almost all of his strength in that sword attack. After all, his opponent was a late hierarch realm expert while his strength was only at the peak divine king realm. Not only did Jiang Chen deplete his physical strength, but his mental strength was also depleted as well. Third elder, I'm afraid that your strength is only as... Jiang Chen said with a faint smile. Although his pale face was a little overloaded, the battle had given him a good understanding of his own strength. At least, Jiang Chen was not afraid of a late hierarch realm expert. The third elder's expression was getting uglier and uglier. Although he knew that Jiang Chen was probably an arrow at the end of its flight, he was still forced back by Jiang Chen and was heavily injured. His situation had become extremely dangerous. Bing Yun and Qian Renji also let out a long sigh of relief. Although Jiang Chen's strength had not reached the hierarch realm, he was able to defeat a late hierarch realm expert. They had all underestimated Jiang Chen. His figure had become extremely huge in this battle. From Qian Renji's point of view, the #1 genius of the outer mansion, no one could defeat him even in the inner mansion. He was not inferior to Tongxian Mansion. Although the third elder was not the strongest, he was still one of the top 10 in Tongxian Mansion. Among the elders, the great elder and the second elder could suppress him. Lin Yukong and the 2 guest elders could suppress him. The rest were almost invincible. A late hierarch realm expert of Tongxian Mansion was defeated by Jiang Chen. It made the third elder feel extremely embarrassed. He had lost the face of Tongxian Mansion. On the other side, danger was everywhere. The third mansion master's strength had completely suppressed Xueqi. Although he had the Skyfrost sword, it was still difficult for him to fight against the third mansion master. It was not easy for Xueqi to use the Skyfrost sword. However, he needed to at least reach the late hierarch realm or a half-step divine emperor in order to fully display the Skyfrost sword's power. Little bastard, you're still too young to fight against me. Humph. The third mansion master harumphed. At this moment, his face became extremely cold. Xueqi's strength was still a notch lower than his. If it was not for the Skyfrost sword, Xueqi would have been defeated in the crazy battle between the two. Let's see if you have the ability to do so. Xueqi harumphed coldly. He advanced step by step, but he had already fallen into the third mansion master's absolute suppression. Xueqi's situation could be said to be very difficult. He was completely holding on against the third mansion master. He was indeed a little arrogant with the Skyfrost sword in his hand. This battle made Xueqi truly understand the importance of strength. Jiang Chen had endless tricks up his sleeves. He needed to suppress Jiang Chen with his strength. Although the Skyfrost sword was very strong, he would fall into a passive position if he relied on external forces. Triple Yuan Qi. The third mansion master's eyes were filled with killing intent. Between his hands, the aura rose and the divine origin Qi continued to gather into 2. Between his palms, the aura was unstoppable. The third mansion master turned around and attacked. The triple Yuan Qi swept across the sky, causing the surrounding void to become chaotic. Xueqi's strength was enough to split Mount Hua and slash the heavens. However, he was still not weaker than the third Mansion Master. Once again, he was sent flying by the third Mansion Master. Xueqi's aura had also weakened a lot. Even though he had a treasured sword, it was difficult for him to display the heavenly might. A mere early-stage hierarch dares to fight against me? Ha! You're overestimating yourself. The third Mansion Master's face was gloomy and he sneered continuously. The corner of his mouth was overflowing with killing intent. He wanted to kill everyone here, including Jiang Chen. Brother Bai, watch out! Bingyun exclaimed. The third Mansion Master was already approaching Xueqi. His ghostly movements were unstoppable. Sword Will of Solitude, worlds apart. Jiang Chen's sixth sword was also displayed at this moment. This sword had exhausted all of Jiang Chen's strength. The terrifying sword aura swept across all directions. At this moment, even the third Mansion Master was shocked by Jiang Chen's sword. The tip of the sword turned and the aura engulfed all directions, instantly blocking the third Mansion Master's path. However, the third Mansion Master was also forced to retreat by Jiang Chen. The terrifying aura under the Sword Will of Solitude had reached a mysterious realm. Even Jiang Chen was in a trance for a moment. His sword intent had actually sublimated at this moment. Yes, it was sublimation. If Jiang Chen's Sword Will of Solitude was just superficial, the current Jiang Chen's Sword Will of Solitude had already caused people's hearts to tremble. This sword intent could change the 9 heavens and 10 earths. The aura of solitude filled the void. It was a kind of desolation. Jiang Chen could feel that the earth was withering and the Yangtze River was drying up. The sword intent of solitude made one feel despair. Wherever the sword intent passed, one's heart would be filled with sorrow. The sword aura was graceful and invincible. In an instant, the third Mansion Master's long hair was disheveled as he landed on the void. His back was like a black lotus. A terrifying aura was emitted from his body. This sword strike had repelled the third Mansion Master, but it had also exhausted Jiang Chen's strength. Xueqi stood with his sword and looked at Jiang Chen. That sword strike was too overbearing. If it was the third elder, he might have died. At this moment, he finally understood how big the gap between him and Jiang Chen was. His long hair was disheveled and his back was curved. At this moment, Jiang Chen felt an even more terrifying aura coming from the third elder. He finally understood where his doubts came from. You're not the third Mansion Master. Chapter 30:17. How could it be? Qian Renji looked at Jiang Chen in astonishment. That guy was the third Mansion Master, but Jiang Chen said that he wasn't. What was going on? The third Mansion Master sneered. His voice was coquettish and ghostly. When he turned around, everyone gasped. Jiang Chen was right. He wasn't the third Mansion Master, but a ghostly woman. Her long hair danced in the wind. Her body was enchanting and charming. Her lips were as thin as a cicada's wings. Her beautiful eyes were bewitching and radiant. Her black hair was like an arrow, and her aura could conquer mountains and rivers. In her eyes, there was only an unparalleled domineering aura. There was only an arrogance of supremacy. It was so cold that it made people's hearts tremble. She was high and mighty like an empress. Her temperament was beyond the mortal world, as if she was isolated from the world. The black robe followed her like a shadow. Her gaze was like a sword that could pierce through people's hearts. Even when Jiang Chen used the sixth move, Separate the Heavens, he still couldn't defeat her. Even when his sword essence was sublimated and dazzled, he was still on par with her. Jiang Chen's eyes narrowed gradually. This person's identity had become a mystery. You've guessed correctly. I'm not the third Mansion Master. Who would have thought that my identity would be seen through by a brat like you? But it doesn't matter, because all of you here are going to die. So, what's the difference between knowing or not knowing? Ha! The woman smiled like a flower. But who would have thought that this woman held the power of life and death in her hands? Qian Renji was dumbfounded. The third elder was dumbfounded. They had helped her kill the people of Tongxian Mansion. But in the blink of an eye, she had changed. The third Mansion Master had disappeared. Who are you? Why are you pretending to be the third Mansion Master? The third elder said while gritting his teeth. He had been played like a monkey. How could he not be angry? Even though he knew that he couldn't defeat this woman, he still wanted to know why he died. You're not qualified to know who I am. I don't care about a mere Tongxian mansion. Apart from your prefecture lord, who has some ability, the rest are just a bunch of useless soldiers and crab generals. You are not worthy of touching the tomb of the 9 prefectures' ancient emperors. The woman said coldly. She seemed to be filled with hatred towards the third elder. Even the Tongxian mansion was worthless in her eyes? Jiang Chen was also shocked in his heart. It seemed that this woman's background was not simple. She didn't even care about Tongxian mansion. How abnormal was she? You don't even care about the Tongxian mansion, so why do you need to pretend to be the third mansion master? Jiang Chen Lang looked at the beautiful woman in front of him and asked in a deep voice. She was like a delicate and beautiful black rose. Her blue pupils were mesmerizing. It seemed that ordinary people would fall into her charm with just a glance. She was a red beauty and a peerless enchantress. This woman was really terrifying. It's just for fun. Isn't it fun to watch you guys being played around by me? Ha! The woman said with a charming smile. She looked harmless. However, everyone knew that their lives were in the hands of this woman. This woman is too scary. Qian Renji couldn't help but gasp. She didn't dare to imagine that the third mansion master was an impostor. Moreover, he had killed Qi Haifei and Yang Shiquan. Even the third elder had almost died because of his conspiracy. Now, everyone was seriously injured and he was the only one who could walk leisurely in the courtyard. It seems like this is my fate. Second mansion master. Third mansion master. I have failed you. The third elder looked up to the sky and let out a long sigh. At this moment, his eyes were filled with disappointment. He had been used by someone else and now he was on the brink of death. How could he face the 2 mansion masters? Moreover, he was now an arrow at the end of its flight. It was a struggle before his death. Madman. Jiang Chen furrowed his brows and said in a cold tone. Facing this beautiful enchantress, he was extremely cautious. A woman's heart was like a needle at the bottom of the ocean. She was truly an unpredictable female devil. Madman? Ha ha ha, I like this title. Are you really not afraid of me? Lan Luo's beautiful eyes flickered. She stared at Jiang Chen. This guy didn't show any signs of panic from the beginning. Even his eyes were as calm as a mountain. Doesn't he know that I can kill him with one move? His strength was almost depleted. What qualifications does he have to show off in front of me? Why should I be afraid of you? You won't be able to kill me. Jiang Chen shook his head and said confidently. His confidence made Lan Luo extremely annoyed. Her pretty face became terrifyingly gloomy. Killing you is as easy as taking something out of my pocket. You should be afraid of me. You're too naive. Even if my strength is depleted and I'm at the end of my flight, you won't be able to kill me. The 2 of them confronted each other. Jiang Chen's aura became calmer. Lan Luo could not believe it no matter what. She was furious. How could he ignore her? A mere divine king brat actually dared to strut around in front of him? Lan Luo was not afraid of Jiang Chen. She just did not expect him to be so arrogant. Ha ha ha, Miss Luo. I never expected to see you here. It's fate. Everyone is fated to meet each other. Looks like our fate doesn't end here. A hearty laughter reverberated in the great emperor's tomb. A red-clothed young man appeared in the sky. His aura was extremely powerful as he had reached the peak late hierarch realm. He was on par with Lan Luo. Lan Luo's strength had not reached the half-step divine emperor realm. However, a peak hierarch realm was terrifying enough. With such strength, she could roam freely even in the northern cold divine region. Even in the central region divine land, she would be recruited by many great forces. Shenyuan Qi, why are you here? Lan Luo's eyes squinted slightly, like the edge of a blade. The 2 of them clearly knew each other. However, even Shenyuan Qi had never thought that Lan Luo would actually lose to a God King kid, which made him extremely excited. The 9 regions ancient emperor, the northern cold divine region. His sword came from the east and destroyed everything. Do you think that only your clan knows who the 9 prefectures' ancient emperor is? Shenyuan Qi said faintly. At this moment, Jiang Chen and the others were completely ignored by the 2 of them. After all, they were 2 peak late hierarch realm experts. They were nothing compared to them. The 9 regions' ancient emperor. No matter who it is, those who stand in my way shall die. Lan Luo said faintly. His eyes swept across the crowd. Everyone was filled with killing intent. I admire your courage. Kid, Why don't you go first and let me see how strong she is? We'll work together to deal with this crazy woman. What do you think? You can have the treasures. I only want Miss Luo to help me comb my hair. Ha 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 ha. Shen Yuanqi looked at Jiang Chen with a smile. I don't like people with the surname Shen Yuan. I don't want to provoke you and this crazy woman. So it's better not to involve me in your matters. As for who the 9 regions' ancient emperor is, that's your concern. It has nothing to do with me. A stone that causes 1,000 ripples. Jiang Chen's words made Shen Yuanqi's face turn red. This guy dares to disobey me? Do you know who I am? How dare you disobey me? Shen Yuanqi looked at Jiang Chen coldly. Obviously, he had given the order to kill Jiang Chen. Shen Yuanqi, I didn't expect you to be defeated like this. This is not your territory. The 9 regions' ancient emperor is not someone anyone can touch. Little brother, your courage is commendable. You're the first person to make Shen Yuanqi suffer like this. Lan Luo said with a smile. She looked at Jiang Chen with interest. However, Jiang Chen was not in the mood to join in their flirting. Are you going to kill yourself or should I do it? Chapter 30:18. Qi Yan Dao Master. Shen Yuanqi's eyes were filled with intense killing intent. Jiang Chen's face was also filled with coldness. This guy's strength was just too strong. He was no different from Lan Luo. Moreover, both of them seemed to have some sort of relationship with each other. In this case, they would undoubtedly be pushed to the edge of life and death. However, Jiang Chen was not an easy opponent. The myriad Qi body had restored more than 70% of his strength. Even if he could not defeat Shen Yuanqi, it would not be easy for Shen Yuanqi to kill him. You are too arrogant and conceited, Jiang Qinlonglong said. Lan Luo obviously wanted to see them fight against each other. Shen Yuanqi only had killing intent in his eyes. He needed to show his power and let Jiang Chen know who was the real expert. The great emperor's tomb was not a place that anyone could touch. It seems that you are not aware of your situation at all. I never like others to stand on the opposite side of me. In that case, I will be very angry. Of course, the consequences will be very serious. Shen Yuanqi smiled. The killing intent in his eyes did not diminish at all. Jiang Chen was just an ant in his eyes. The only one who could threaten him was Lan Luo. Therefore, he wanted to teach these people a lesson first. After cleaning up the trash, he would be able to compete with Lan Luo. You are indeed arrogant, but unfortunately, you chose the wrong person. Jiang Chen said. If this guy wanted to take his life, then it would depend on how capable he was. Boasting shamelessly. Eat my palm. Shen Yuanqi turned around. His palm covered everything in the world, destroying the 9 heavens and 10 earths. The power of a peak hierarch realm was unstoppable. Everyone's expression changed, but Jiang Chen was not afraid at all. He used the divine golden bell and his blade to block Shen Yuanqi's attack. Jiang Chen was forced to take a few steps back. His expression was solemn and his breath was unstable. However, he did not fall down. A peak divine king took on a peak hierarch's attack head-on. Jiang Chen had already shocked everyone. Even Shen Yuanqi and Lan Luo were in disbelief. This fella's defense was impregnable. The divine golden bell had also blocked Shen Yuanqi's overbearing pressure. Interesting. It seems like I have underestimated you. Shen Yuanqi Longlong said. However, he did not choose to attack again because he might expose himself if he continued to attack. At that time, if Lan Luo wanted to attack him, he might be attacked from all sides. Although this divine king guy was not a threat to him, he could still cause a lot of trouble for Shen Yuanqi. The tripartite confrontation might be overestimating Jiang Chen and the others. However, even Shen Yuanqi did not dare to attack aggressively to avoid being killed. This time, his biggest mission was to obtain the Great Emperor's sword in the Great Emperor's tomb. It was what he really cared about. I'll keep you alive for now. However, how far you can go will depend on your own luck. Shen Yuanqi said. Lan Luo smiled disdainfully. This guy is afraid that I'll take advantage of him. That's why he said it in such a dignified manner. These treasures are just the tip of the iceberg. How could the real treasure be here? Lan Luo gave a faint smile that was filled with charm. However, a woman like her had a heart that was as poisonous as a scorpion. No one dared to look down on her. Even the third elder was fearful of her. When she killed someone, she did not hesitate at all. Jiang Chen, are you all right? Chen Renji and the others also came over. Jiang Chen was hit by Xueqi. None of them dared to take it head-on. It's not a big deal. Jiang Chen shook his head. He was getting more and more curious. What was the treasure in the tomb of the great sovereign? The great emperor's tomb. I'm late. Ha! The void trembled. Light and shadow rippled. A red-haired man holding a Buddhist staff appeared in the void. His strength had reached the peak hierarch realm. Another peak hierarch realm expert. Xueqi's face became extremely solemn. Wasn't their situation even more dangerous now? The three of them might not be strong enough, but the appearance of this red-haired burly man had put them in danger. The great emperor's tomb is really unpredictable. There are several peak hierarch realm experts. We don't stand a chance anymore. Chen Renji glanced at Jiang Chen. Obviously, he was the strongest. Only he had the right to speak. Jiang Chen did not move. The best thing to do at this time was to stay calm. If he lost his footing, there would be no room for negotiation. Someone from the West Pole land? Lan Luo furrowed his brows. This fellow had once again reversed the situation. Perhaps, the relationship between them would become even more subtle. Immortal Qi Yan of Swan Goose Temple is here, the red-haired man said with a laugh. His face was full of excitement. His rough face gave people a feeling of a Jianghu bandit. However, his strength was not to be underestimated. Swan Goose Temple? It's one of the top 10 temples in the West Pole land. I wonder which Buddha from the West Heaven world is your abbot? Lan Luo squinted his eyes. He was so beautiful that even immortal Qi Yan coveted Lan Luo. Haha, you're right. There are many famous temples in the West Pole land. However, Swan Goose Temple is not to be underestimated. I wonder if Immortal can join hands with me to get rid of these people. They are an eyesore here. The great emperor's tomb is not a place where ordinary people can see its majesty. I'm Shenyuan Qi from the Shenyuan tribe of the Central Province Divine Land. Shenyuan Qi pointed the spearhead at Jiang Chen and the others. The ordinary people naturally referred to Jiang Chen and the others. Immortal Qi Yan looked at Shenyuan Qi in surprise. The Shenyuan tribe was a big tribe from antiquity times. Even in the post-emperor era, there were many experts. His Swan Goose Temple was quite famous in the West Pole land. However, in the Central Province Divine Land, where all kinds of people were mixed up, it was not worth mentioning. The Shenyuan tribe was well known even in the 9 states and 18 counties of the Divine Realm. The Shenyuan tribe had produced one of the most terrifying experts of the Emperor Realm in antiquity times. Even now, with the passage of time, experts of the Emperor Realm were as rare as phoenix feathers and unicorn horns. The Shenyuan tribe was still a force that could not be underestimated. It was extremely terrifying even in the Central Province Divine Land. Immortal Qi Yan could not help but look at Shenyuan Qi in a higher light. It would be better to form an alliance with him and negotiate. The great emperor's tomb was full of dangers. It was not easy to get the inheritance of the great emperor. Oh, this group of trash wants to see the glory of the great emperor. Ha ha ha, I'm dying of laughter. Brother Shenyuan, why don't we fight together and get rid of these overconfident guys first? Then, we can prepare to enter the great emperor's tomb. Immortal Qi Yan looked at Jiang Chen and the others coldly. Most importantly, the strongest among them was only a middle hierarch realm. He could almost crush them with one hand. Jiang Chen knew that Shenyuan Qi was trying to divert the trouble to Taoist Qi Yan. He wanted Jiang Chen to have a battle with Taoist Qi Yan to find out the real situation. Taoist Qi Yan was obviously not someone who was easy to deal with. If these two fellas were to attack together, even Jiang Chen would have to avoid them. That's great. Ha! Shenyuan Qi and Immortal Qi Yan hit it off. Immortal Qi Yan also wanted to test Shenyuan Qi's strength. Jiang Chen and the others were not a threat to him. The two of them attacked Jiang Chen and the others just to test Shenyuan Qi's strength. Jiang Chen, what should we do? Chapter 30-19. Sword Essence Command. As for Lan Luo, she was just sitting on the mountain and watching the tigers fight. She didn't seem to be moved at all. It was impossible for the two of them to work together. At least before the final battle, they would have their own plans and thoughts. Naturally, the fewer people who knew about the secret of the great sovereign's tomb, the better it would be. Jiang Chen and the others had just walked step by step into the abyss. Given their strength, they shouldn't have appeared here. Retreat, Jiang Chen said in a deep voice. He could not fight against two peak ultimate gods as the gap between their strength was too big. He could only avoid their attacks. Want to run? That's impossible. Spiritual Master Qi Yan sneered and said. The two of them instantly rushed towards Jiang Chen and the others. Qian Renji and Bing Yun did not have the slightest resistance and were sent flying. Jiang Chen and Xueqi went up to meet them, but the result was not optimistic. Xueqi had suffered a serious injury, and it was impossible for him to withstand a peak ultimate god's attack. Retreat! Jiang Chen made Xueqi retreat. At that moment, even Lan Luo was slightly startled. Did this guy want to fight against the two of them alone? What a joke! Lan Luo shook her head as if she could already see the scene of Jiang Chen being defeated and even killed mercilessly. What a reckless fellow! My Buddhist staff has long been thirsty for blood. I like the feeling of being drenched in fresh blood. Spiritual Master Qi Yan's eyes were gloomy as he bared his bloodthirsty fangs. Shenyuan Qi also attacked strongly. Although the two of them only used 60% of their strength, it was enough to pose a great threat to Jiang Chen. 3,000 Li freeze. Starlight. Separate from the heavens. Jiang Chen's heavenly dragon sword whistled crazily. If the sword soul had not fallen into a deep sleep, Jiang Chen would not have such a hard time. Although his sword of solitude was constantly improving, he was still facing two peak ultimate gods. Jiang Chen retreated step by step with messy footsteps. It seemed easy to fight against the two of them, but it was a struggle between life and death. Roar, accompanied by incomparably loud roars, 7 dragon shadows wreaked havoc as they broke through the void, directly charging towards Shenyuan Qi and Taoist Qi Yan. The terrifying heavenly dragon riders had once again appeared. It's the dragon rider heavenly guards again. Jiang Chen's heart skipped a beat. What he did not expect was that these dragon riders heavenly guards seemed to be on the same side as him. 7 late hierarch realm dragon riders heavenly guards crisscrossed with dragon shadows filling the air. Shenyuan Qi and spiritual master Qi Yan were stunned. What a terrifying dragon knight. Even though he's been dead for millions of years, his strength is still as shocking as ever. Shenyuan Qi didn't dare to underestimate them. The 7 dragon cavalry heavenly guards had almost instantly turned the situation around. Even Venerable Scarlet Flame found it hard to believe. Sword Will of Solitude, Sword Will. As Jiang Chen pointed his sword, the dragon cavalry heavenly guard seemed to have received an order as they madly charged towards Shenyuan Qi. Shenyuan Qi's facial expression changed drastically. Even he had to avoid the joint attack of the 7 dragon cavalry heavenly guards. Jiang Chen's eyes lit up. He knew that his sword Will of Solitude must have affected the dragon cavalry heavenly guards. Hence, the dragon cavalry heavenly guards had taken action to protect him. Moreover, the dragon cavalry heavenly guards did not hesitate to charge towards him. Damn it! Why are these dragon knights listening to him? Shenyuan Qi roared and tried his best to force the 7 dragon cavalry heavenly guards to retreat. Although Venerable Scarlet Flame did not stay idle, the two of them could not gain the upper hand against the 7 dragon cavalry heavenly guards. Firstly, they were holding back. Secondly, the dragon cavalry heavenly guards attacked and retreated at the same time. They were like puppets and did not know fatigue at all. The only thing supporting them seemed to be Jiang Chen's sword will. Not only Shenyuan Qi, but everyone also had doubts in their hearts. Jiang Chen was no exception. However, the sword Will of Solitude sublimation had a great impact on the dragon cavalry heavenly guards. Jiang Chen's heart once again became solemn and even excited. He was looking forward to finding out who the supreme ancient emperor in the great emperor's tomb was. Although the dragon cavalry heavenly guards were strong, they were like puppets after all. It was impossible for them to fight against a peak hierarch realm expert. Moreover, there were 2 experts joining hands. Shenyuan Qi and Venerable Scarlet Flame had also displayed their best skills. After all, it would be too embarrassing if they were defeated by the dragon cavalry heavenly guards. However, the dragon cavalry heavenly guards' horrifying power had given Shenyuan Qi and Venerable Scarlet Flame a great impact. Jiang Chen's Sword of Solitude was displayed at this moment. Wherever the sword Qi passed, the dragon cavalry heavenly guards would be crushed. Could it be that the Sword of Solitude was created by the 9 regions' ancient emperor? Jiang Chen thought in his mind. Apart from this, there was no other explanation. The Sword of Solitude could actually command the heavenly dragon riders. This was something that no one could believe. Heavenly Dragon Sword, slash. Jiang Chen held the heavenly dragon sword in his hand and slashed in the void. The dragon cavalry heavenly guards rose into the sky and intertwined with Xueqi Qi and venerable scarlet flame. 7 dragons hovered in the sky and the sword was terrifying. The great emperor's tomb seemed to tremble. Jiang Chen had won enough respect by commanding the dragon cavalry heavenly guards. At this moment, Xueqi Qi shouted and took the initiative to stop the battle. It's useless to continue fighting. Kid, you can enter the great emperor's tomb with me. Xueqi Qi gritted his teeth and said. Although he was extremely unwilling, Jiang Chen had the 7 dragon cavalry heavenly guards. Although he was relying on external objects, such a terrifying power made people not dare to act rashly. Xueqi Qi could only choose to take a step back. After all, the dragon cavalry heavenly guards were very strange. He might not be able to use them. When they enter the core area, the dragon cavalry heavenly guards might not be able to protect him. It might not be a bad thing to let him enter first. Most importantly, he had the dragon cavalry heavenly guards in his hands. His understanding of the great emperor's tomb was far beyond theirs. You want to bargain with me now? Too late. Jiang Chen said indifferently. He was dismissive of Xueqi Qi. At this time, he did not want to let Xueqi Qi go. Kid, you're courting death. I gave you face, but you don't want it. Xueqi Qi was furious. He did not expect Jiang Chen to be so unappreciative. Sword intent, cut for me. Jiang Chen knew that it was impossible to defeat Xueqi Qi with the dragon cavalry heavenly guards. At this time, in order to not let himself fall into a passive position, he must teach Xueqi Qi a lesson. Even if he could not kill him, he would not let him have an easy time. The dragon cavalry heavenly guards did not let Jiang Chen down. They charged forward unscrupulously, giving Xueqi Qi a huge headache. His so-called ally, Venerable Scarlet Flame, had already withdrawn from the battle at this moment. Jiang Chen relied on the dragon cavalry heavenly guards to put Xueqi Qi in a terrible situation. At this moment, the entire space of the tomb shook. The ground cracked. Countless treasures were buried in the ground. It was a great pity. In the space behind the bronze throne, a square blood-red stone platform rose from the ground at this moment. The trapezoidal stone platform was covered with blood-red inscriptions. It was stained with a terrible sword aura. It was just a stone platform, but it made everyone present feel incomparably oppressed. The third elder and Bingyun Qianren were shocked by the aura of the blood-red stone platform. This is the great emperor's divine weapon? Chapter 30-20. The crimson stone platform was demonic and agile, like an insurmountable mountain. It was so heavy that it was hard to breathe. The crimson light permeated the space of the tomb. The appearance of the crimson stone platform forced them to treat it seriously. At this moment, even the 7 heavenly guards of the dragon riders slowly knelt down, facing the crimson stone platform. This scene completely shocked Jiang Chen and the rest. This crimson stone platform is probably not an ordinary object. At this moment, Immortal Qi Yan and Xueqi Qi's eyes were shining. They did not know what this crimson stone platform was, but its mysteriousness was suffocating. This is the commander execution stage. Bingyun's body trembled slightly, her expression extremely solemn. Commander execution stage? Jiang Chen looked at Bingyun. That's right. This is the commander execution stage of the 9 prefectures' ancient emperors. Kill all 108 emperors as a blood sacrifice to the Eastern Royal Demon Lord. Bingyun's words caused everyone's expression to change greatly. Kill all 108 emperors? Was this a joke? 108 martial monarch realm experts. Wasn't this too unbelievable? Since ancient times, who could kill all 108 emperors? No one in the past, no one in the future. Kill all 108 emperors. No wonder. No wonder this commander execution stage is so terrifying. The blood of all 108 emperors is stained here. Its power is boundless. Lan Luo murmured, extremely shocked. 108 emperors. Isn't this 9 prefectures' ancient emperor too terrifying? Jiang Chen smiled bitterly in his heart, but he had to admit that this ancient emperor, who might have come from the 9 prefectures' immortal world, was actually this powerful. I've heard of the Eastern Royal Demon Lord. He was a great god from the ancient world. The mount of the Eastern royal Tai was a Kuan, a close relative of the Kuan. Its strength was even more terrifying than the dragon tribe. Ever since the ancient Eastern royal Tai disappeared, the Eastern royal demon lord has never been heard of again. Was he actually suppressed by the 9 prefectures' ancient emperor? Then who is this 9 prefectures' ancient emperor? Third elder muttered. He was already an arrow at the end of its flight, clearly knowing that he was going to die, yet he still struggled at death's door until now. Jiang Chen didn't kill him. Instead, he kept him alive so that he could prepare for his return to Tongxian Mansion. At that time, he would definitely fall out with Tongxian Mansion. When he entered the Heaven Dragon prison, he would definitely have a fierce battle. The East Monstrous Demon Lord has been unstoppable for his entire life. East Monstrous Tai is a great god of the ancient world. No one can touch him. Even the Northern Liang ancient emperor is probably inferior to him. Taoist Qi Yan said. The Eastern Emperor Tai was a great god of the ancient world. There wasn't a single person who didn't know of him. Those who could rival him were few and far between. Jiang Chen's heart trembled. So that Eastern Emperor Tai was actually so terrifying? It seemed that he had underestimated him previously. Even he himself couldn't believe that he still had the Eastern Emperor bell in his hands. However, the Eastern Emperor bell was already broken and didn't have a trace of spirituality left. To restore the Eastern Emperor bell would be as difficult as ascending to the heavens. If this blood-colored stone platform is really the general execution platform, it should have supreme power. Shen Yuanqi's lips curled up slightly and his eyes became brighter. However, at that moment, the general execution platform changed again. The red light was like a rain of swords, crisscrossing thousands of times. Jiang Chen and the others hurriedly retreated. Rays of blood-colored light were emitted from the general execution platform like starlight rain of swords. It was extremely terrifying. Jiang Chen threw Third Elder into the Zulong Tower and used all his strength to resist the scarlet rain of swords. The rain of swords lasted for 10 minutes at the end of the month before it finally dissipated. However, Chen Renji and Bing Yun were both injured by the rain of swords. Even Jiang Chen and Shuel Yang were only barely able to resist the rain of swords. They kept retreating. Shen Yuanqi and the other 2 were relatively better off. After all, their strength was too strong. The scarlet rain of swords was naturally nothing to them. This general execution platform. I want it. Venerable Qi Yan's eyes lit up and he was the first to rush to the general execution platform. A monk should be compassionate. Venerable, do you really want to fight with me for such a ferocious object? Shen Yuanqi said with a fake smile. Ha ha ha, I only have one belief in my heart, and that is to kill my body to become a Buddha. I like this ferocious object. Venerable Qi Yan didn't get angry. Instead, he laughed and directly rushed to snatch the general execution platform. Humph, old stinky monk. If you want the general execution platform, you have to get past me first. Shen Yuanqi naturally couldn't just stand by and watch. The terror of the general execution platform was self-evident. It had killed 108 emperors and suppressed the East Royal Demon Lord. This general execution platform had already become a treasure in everyone's heart. It seems like you intend to fight to the death with me? Venerable Qi Yan and Shen Yuanqi fighting head-on was the scene that Lan Luo wanted to see the most. When 2 tigers fought, one would definitely be injured. Only then would she be able to reap the benefits. If you give me the general execution platform, I might be able to disturb your life. Shen Yuanqi said. What arrogant words. This general execution platform is mine, unless you can crush my body, Qin Wentian said. Venerable Qi Yan snorted coldly and took the initiative to attack Shen Yuanqi. Shen Yuan Art. Sword moves 8 directions. Shen Yuanqi's first move was a killing move. The Shen Yuan swordsmanship of the Shen Yuan clan had been passed down for a long time and was revered by everyone. As a genius disciple of the Shen Yuan clan, Shen Yuanqi naturally couldn't fall behind. He was determined to obtain the general execution platform. Prairie red flames. Venerable Qi Yan's hands were linked with the flames in his hands. His palms were like fire and each of his moves was ruthless. The battle between peak hierarch realm experts was extremely exciting. Jiang Chen stared at the scene without blinking. These 2 fellas were the best among the peak hierarch realm experts. Jiang Chen had already experienced the Shen Yuan art, but Shen Yuanqi's Shen Yuan art was obviously better. Venerable Qi Yan came from the West Pole Divine region alone because he was well prepared. Both of their palms whistled and sword shadows intertwined, setting off a terrifying storm in the tomb. Aren't you tempted? Lan Luo stood with her arms crossed, looking at Jiang Chen with her beautiful eyes. She was quite shocked that this guy could command the Dragon Knights. Moreover, he could withstand several of her attacks with his peak Divine King strength. He's definitely not the same as before. She had seen peerless geniuses before, and she was even one of them. However, it was her first time seeing someone as monstrous as Jiang Chen. A hot potato. Since you want it, I'll give it to you. Jiang Chen said coldly. Lan Luo wanted to get him involved. Once he was tempted by the general execution platform, he would definitely be attacked by Shenyuan Qi and Venerable Qi Yan again. Jiang Chen would not be the one to take the blame. Moreover, he had the heavenly dragon guards with him. As long as he did not take the initiative to attack, Shenyuan Qi would not make things difficult for him. Ha ha ha, what an interesting little brother. I advise you to leave. Since you know you can't defeat them, what's the point of staying here? Lan Luo said as she waved her hand. Her slender fingers exuded a bewitching aura, and her demeanor was extremely enchanting. You're so pretty, can't you stay and watch? Chapter 30-21. You're such a sweet talker. I like obedient little brothers like you. But I don't like venomous women. Lan Luo's expression suddenly changed, but she still had a smile on her face. No one could guess what she was thinking. Today, I'll let you know what a venomous woman is. Lan Luo soared into the sky and rushed towards Jiang Chen. It seemed that Jiang Chen had touched her reverse scale. She hated it the most when others said that she was venomous. What a crazy woman. I'm not fighting with you for the execution platform. Jiang Chen frowned. A woman's thoughts were always hard to understand. Facing Lan Luo's sudden attack, Jiang Chen could only fight back passively. This crazy woman was really hard to understand. However, Jiang Chen knew that she was worried that he would snatch the execution platform, so she attacked first to gain the upper hand. Jiang Chen had experienced Lan Luo's ruthlessness before, but this time, Jiang Chen commanded the Dragon Rider Heavenly Guards. The situation might not be one-sided. At least, it was enough to contend against Lan Luo. He was not afraid at all. The Dragon Rider Heavenly Guards were exceptionally fierce, but Lan Luo was not easy to deal with either. Jiang Chen relied on the Dragon Rider Heavenly Guards to completely block Lan Luo's attack. At this moment, everyone became incomparably solemn and did not dare to be distracted. The silver snake sword in Lan Luo's hand was invincible. Facing the Dragon Rider Heavenly Guards, she also showed her terrifying elegance. On the other side, Spiritual Master Qi Yan and Shenyuan Qi also used all their skills. The battle between the two was even more shocking. Flames swept across, and flames rose to the sky. Shenyuan Qi's swordsmanship was sharp, and his momentum was fierce, but he did not dare to say that he was at ease. This expert from the Swan Goose Temple of the West Pole Divine Land was also not easy to deal with. Xueqi did not show any weakness. He quickly joined the battle and helped Jiang Chen to attack Lan Luo. The silver serpent dagger, like a snake or a scorpion, forced Lan Luo to retreat again and again. Jiang Chen seized the opportunity to chase after Lan Luo, and the 12 Fire God Guards also attacked at this moment. Together with the Dragon Rider Heavenly Guards, they almost completely surrounded Lan Luo. The sword essence of solitude in Jiang Chen's hand also exerted a very strong attack. Under the four-pronged attack, Lan Luo was almost instantly forced into a desperate situation. She could only retreat step by step to avoid the sharp edge. However, the Dragon Rider Heavenly Guards and Jiang Chen's sword essence of solitude had greatly impacted her. It was quite difficult for Lan Luo to turn around. Snake-like chop. Lan Luo's sword shadow was blurred, sweeping the void. Xueqi and the 12 Fire God Guards were all repelled, but the Dragon Rider Heavenly Guards and Jiang Chen faced the difficulty head-on. The sword essence of solitude and the destructive snake-like chop forced Lan Luo to retreat again and again, causing her to be seriously injured. However, Lan Luo's sword was indeed powerful enough. Even the attack of the Dragon Rider Heavenly Guards was delayed at this moment. Jiang Chen and Lan Luo's swords merged together. Jiang Chen's sword essence was 10 points higher than Lan Luo's, but Lan Luo's strength was not what Jiang Chen possessed. In this life-and-death battle, one move determined the life and death of the two. Jiang Chen rushed forward again, chasing after Lan Luo. Lan Luo was completely in a desperate situation, unable to break out. Scorching sun venomous fang. Lan Luo's sword slashed out again and again, like the fangs of a green snake, pressing towards Jiang Chen. Jiang Chen swept across the void fearlessly. As the two swords collided, Lan Luo was seriously injured and fell down. Her pretty face was filled with a gloomy expression. Bastard! Lan Luo clenched her teeth. Her expression was stern, and her pretty face was covered in frost. A furious expression also appeared on her peerlessly beautiful face. Jiang Chen quickly seized the general execution stage. Xueqi shouted in a deep voice. Jiang Chen's eyes were cold. This was a rare opportunity. If he missed it, it would be hard for him to seize it again. Jiang Chen rushed towards the general execution stage. At this moment, Taoist Qi Yan and Shenyuan Qi also saw this scene. Their eyes narrowed, and without any hesitation, they rushed towards the general execution stage as if they had a telepathic connection. Because the general execution stage was too tempting for them, none of them were willing to give it up. The two of them were evenly matched. After fighting for a long time, there was no clear winner. On the contrary, Lan Luo was the first to be defeated, and Jiang Chen, who was not in Shenyuan Qi's eyes, actually dared to touch the general execution stage at this moment. Boy, how dare you! You're courting death. Shenyuan Qi and Taoist Qi Yan attacked at the same time, but Jiang Chen ignored them and went straight for the general execution stage. At this moment, Xueqi was the first to attack, trying to stop Shenyuan Qi and Taoist Qi Yan. However, he was already seriously injured, and at this moment, the two Peak God clan experts attacked at the same time, and he could not withstand it at all. With one move, he was sent flying, directly smashing into the general execution stage. Xueqi spurted out a mouthful of blood, directly onto the general execution stage. Immediately, Jiang Chen helped Xueqi up, but the general execution stage still could not be taken down. Shenyuan Qi and Taoist Qi Yan had already arrived. Brother Bai, be careful. Bing Yun's expression suddenly changed. Except for her, no one knew that when blood dripped onto the general execution stage, it would be sucked dry by the stage. Xueqi felt as if his whole body was being burned by fire. The horrible burning sensation spread all over his body. Xueqi's face became extremely red, and a heat wave of aura rose from his body. So painful, so hot. Xueqi felt as if he was burning, and his blood seemed to be boiling. The surrounding space became distorted. Brother Bai. Bing Yun was extremely anxious, and she wanted to hold Xueqi's hand, but she was forced back by the terrifying heat wave. Xueqi's entire body was like an incomparably huge fireball. What's going on? Jiang Chen looked at Bing Yun in shock. Bing Yun bit her red lips, and her shoulders trembled as she murmured. The general execution stage has the ability to devour blood. The general's execution platform has the ability to devour blood. It will devour all of Brother Bai's blood. The 108 generals were devoured by the general's execution platform and turned into nothingness. The demonic power of the general execution stage is incomparably terrifying. I don't know what's going on either. Bing Yun's anxious expression was seen by Jiang Chen, and he was also extremely worried for Xueqi. Jiang Chen stretched out his hand, and even though he could hold Xueqi's arm, the extremely scorching aura was still attacking him. Jiang Chen was extremely shocked. This general execution stage was really too terrifying, and it actually possessed such a terrifying demonic power. Just the splattering of blood on the general execution stage had caused such a situation. The blood in Xueqi's body was flowing out bit by bit, turning into streams of blood qi, and was absorbed into the general execution stage. Trying to gain an advantage only to end up losing the rice used to lure it. Humph. This is retribution. Chapter 30-22. Jiang Chen's expression became solemn. Xueqi's blood was being devoured by the execution platform and he could no longer fight. Moreover, his life was in danger. Jiang Chen had to save him first. Otherwise, Xueqi might lose his life. Jiang Chen brought Bing Yun and Qian Renji into the Zulong Tower instantly, leaving a dumbfounded Shenyuan Qi. Shenyuan Qi's attack landed on the spot where Jiang Chen was, but it did not stir up any dust because Jiang Chen had already disappeared. Spatial divine tool? Shenyuan Qi was startled. His facial expression changed slightly, but he was getting more and more excited in his heart. A spatial divine tool was extremely rare. Most importantly, it was a spatial divine tool that could allow people to enter it. It was impossible for this guy to leave this place. Once Jiang Chen was discovered, Shen Yuanqi would definitely kill Jiang Chen at all costs and seize the spatial divine tool. At the same time, immortal Qi Yan was the same. Everyone knew how precious a spatial divine tool was. Even a divine emperor might not have one. How could this divine king kid be so lucky? What a great execution platform. It's so strange. Immortal Qi Yan liked the execution platform more and more. However, the only one who could compete with him now was Shen Yuanqi. Brother Shen Yuan, why don't you give this general execution platform to me? I'll let you have it when we find another treasure. Otherwise, I'm afraid that we'll have to fight until the heavens turn dark, and there won't be any results. What's the point? Why don't you join hands with me? Hee, why don't you let me have the execution platform? If so, I'll give it to you if we find another treasure. How about it? Shen Yuanqi said with a smile. Sigh, it seems like one of us will fall. If you don't believe me, we're destined to lose together. Immortal Qi Yan shook his head and said. Both of them did not believe each other. It was impossible for them to stop fighting. On the contrary, Lan Luo was severely injured by Jiang Chen. She had lost most of her fighting strength. It was almost impossible for her to fight for the execution platform. Lady Luo, why don't you give me a hand? As long as I defeat this fellow, I will give you this executioner stage as my betrothal gift. How about you marry into my Shen Yuan family? Shen Yuanqi's eyes lit up as he looked at Lan Luo. Lan Luo's expression also became more and more serious. He was as still as a mountain. Silently looking at Shen Yuanqi, Lang Lang said, I'm afraid that when you obtain the general execution platform, I won't be important anymore, right? Humph. Lan Luo's words caused Shen Yuanqi to be startled. This woman was truly too intelligent. Indeed, even if he wanted her to marry him, she wouldn't be worth a single coin in front of the general execution stage. However, she had actually sensed it. It seems like you've always been suspicious of my love. All right, I will seize this general execution stage for you as a token of our love. Hee. Shen Yuanqi laughed. If Lan Luo was willing to give in, he would be very happy to be with her. After all, if she was willing to marry him, his status in the Shen Yuan family would definitely rise. At that time, he would definitely be promoted to a true core disciple. However, it was a pity that it wasn't easy for someone as strong as him to gain a foothold in the Shen Yuan family. In the ancestral dragon pagoda, Bing Yun and Qian Renji were slightly startled. Their hearts were in turmoil. Jiang Chen's ancestral dragon pagoda had shown them the true horror. It showed how powerful Jiang Chen's foundation was. But even so, they had to find a way to save Xueqi. Jiang Chen felt that Xueqi's body was getting hotter and hotter. If it wasn't for the 5 elemental divine fire, Jiang Chen might not be able to hold Xueqi's hand. His blood was almost burning and boiling. If this continues, Xueqi will be devoured alive by that strange general execution stage. Bing Yun said anxiously. She was so anxious that she almost cried, but there was nothing she could do. Is this general execution stage really so terrifying? Jiang Chen wanted to fight poison with poison by injecting the 5 elemental divine fire into Xueqi's body. However, he gave up in an instant because the moment the 5 elemental divine fire touched Xueqi's body, the burning waves in his body became even more terrifying. I can't. I'm going to explode. Xueqi's face was blood red and his body was stiff. He was as thin as a stick and his blood kept evaporating. The blood-red light on the general execution stage was getting more and more terrifying. Cold River Stone. Jiang Chen pressed the Cold River Stone on Xueqi's body. At that moment, Xueqi felt extremely comfortable and even his expression became more relaxed. So comfortable, Xueqi murmured. However, his lips had completely cracked and the blood-red light in his eyes was gradually extinguished. However, Jiang Chen felt that something was wrong because an even more terrifying burning wave was coming again. Even the Cold River Stone seemed to be unable to suppress the terrifying burning wave brought by the general execution stage. It still doesn't work. Jiang Chen clenched his teeth. At this moment, no one could help Xueqi recover. His face was completely emaciated and his blood was almost evaporated by the burning wave in his body. I can't accept this, I can't accept this. Xueqi's roar was deafening like thunder. Bingyun's eyes were wide open. She did not expect Brother Bai to be swallowed by the general execution stage. Jiang Chen suddenly raised his head. Xueqi's body could no longer withstand such pressure. The combination of ice and fire would only make him feel more pain. Xueqi's body became distorted and was gradually being sucked away by an extremely terrifying force. Jiang Chen held Xueqi tightly, but it was useless. The unknown force made Jiang Chen feel helpless. The power of the 9 dragons and 10 elephants was also unable to resist it. Xueqi's body was completely sucked away by the strange energy in the general execution stage. He was sucked out of the Zulong Tower, and under the despairing gaze of Jiang Chen and Bing Yun, he was sucked into the general execution stage. No. Bing Yun couldn't believe what had just happened in front of her. She fell limply onto the ground. Jiang Chen also fell into silence and took a deep breath. He was incomparably vexed and dejected. His confidant was actually devoured by the general execution stage at this moment, and he couldn't do anything about it. Human strength is limited sometimes. You don't have to blame yourself too much. Qian Renji looked at Jiang Chen and comforted him in a low voice. If I don't blame him, who should I blame? If he didn't forcefully snatch the general execution stage, Brother Bai wouldn't have been severely injured by those 2 bastards. How would he have died? How would he have left me? Bing Yun knelt on the ground and sobbed. She was extremely sad. Jiang Chen's heart was also touched. I will make them pay with their blood. Chapter 30-23. Rushing out of the Zulong Tower, Jiang Chen faced Shenyuan Qi and Taoist Qi Yan. Both of them were slightly stunned. They did not expect that Jiang Chen would come back. Since he had already disappeared, he still dared to come out and court death. He really did not know what was good for him. You still dare to come out? Hee, good. Hand over your spatial divine tool. Maybe I will let you die in one piece. Shenyuan Qi stood with his arms crossed and said confidently. He might not have full confidence in dealing with Taoist Qi Yan, but if he could not even take down this guy in the Divine King realm, it would be too shameful for him. Previously, it was just a small fight and there was no life and death battle. Shenyuan Qi just did not want to reveal his strength. However, it was different now. Jiang Chen's spatial divine tool had completely attracted his attention. This spatial divine tool might not be weaker than the general execution stage. It was a complete waste of God's gift in the hands of this guy. Jiang Chen's eyes were filled with endless anger. His aura became extremely cold and domineering. His will to conquer the heavens shot up to the sky. A debt of blood must be paid with blood. These 2 people killed Xueqi. He would not let them off easily. You still dare to stare at me? Haha, interesting. Boy, it seems that if I don't teach you a lesson today, you really think that you are invincible in the world. You always act like you are the best in the world. I don't like you. Shenyuan Qi grinned. His eyes were gloomy and terrifying. Spatial divine tool, I also want it. Taoist Qi Yan looked at Shenyuan Qi silently. Both of you come at me together. Whoever kills me may be able to get it. Jiang Chen said faintly. Not only that, even Lan Luo was slightly stunned. Is this guy crazy? Even with the help of the Dragon Rider Heavenly Guards, it was impossible for him to defeat these 2 people. Previously, they did not want to waste their energy to kill Jiang Chen, so he was able to survive until now. However, the difference now was that the spatial divine tool that Jiang Chen revealed had completely attracted their attention. Therefore, it was impossible for Jiang Chen to escape unscathed. What a madman! Lan Luo curled her lips as she silently watched the scene unfold. However, what she hoped the most was for the 3 of them to mutually injure each other so that she could profit from it. Otherwise, it wouldn't be so easy for her to reap the benefits from this situation. You talk big. Aren't you afraid that the wind will cut your tongue? Little guy, I will give you a quick death today. Taoist Qi Yan sneered and attacked almost at the same time as Shenyuan Qi. Whoever can kill this guy will get the spatial divine tool. Shenyuan Qi's eyes narrowed slightly. Both of them were unwilling to be outdone, and they fought to get closer. Jiang Chen casted the ancient soaring dragon technique once again, increasing his strength by a few levels. The Sword of Solitude activated the Heavenly Dragon Guards. The 7 Dragon Knights were in front of Jiang Chen, leading the charge. The 12 Fire God Guards stood on both sides of Jiang Chen. Jiang Chen wasn't afraid of fighting two enemies at all. The Heavenly Dragon Guards and the 12 Fire God Guards were not afraid of the two enemies' attacks. No matter how terrifying the attack was, it would be easily blocked by them. The puppet took the lead and Jiang Chen followed closely behind. The borderless sword and the sword of solitude were different but had the same effect. At this moment, Jiang Chen's borderless sword had been deduced to the 9th sword. He was still figuring out the 10th sword, but he knew that the 10th sword was not far away. This guy is quite hard to deal with. Humph. Shen Yuanqi's long sword swung. The Shen Yuan sword technique was one of the most terrifying sword techniques in the world. It was even comparable to Jiang Chen's sword of solitude. After all, it was created by great Emperor Shen Yuan. He was the war god of the ancient world at the same time as Eastern Emperor Tai. Who could compete with Shen Yuan? However, the current Shen Yuan clan was no longer as glorious as before. However, the Shen Yuan technique was still terrifying. The 12 Fire God Guards could not display their full strength in Shen Yuanqi's hands. The 12 Fire God Guards could only fight against a late Hierarch realm expert at most. They had no advantage against Shen Yuanqi. Borderless sword. 9th sword. The soundless sword Qi descended from the sky, as though it had traveled through the ages, twisting and turning hundreds of times. Shen Yuanqi took his time and faced the sword aura with ease. However, he was forced to take 2 steps back. He managed to block the sword aura in the end. He was extremely shocked that Jiang Chen could unleash such a terrifying sword aura. If it was an ordinary expert, even a peak late Hierarch realm expert might not be able to block it so easily. Your sword is not my match at all. In terms of sword techniques, if my Shen Yuan clan claims to be number 2, who dares to claim to be number 1? Ha! Shen Yuanqi's killing intent rose again as he approached Jiang Chen. The 12 Fire God Guards were all severely injured by Shen Yuanqi's sword aura. Although the puppets did not feel pain, the Fire God Guards were almost beaten up by Shen Yuanqi. Hold on. Jiang Chen gritted his teeth and said. He started to set up the Supreme Grade Divine Origin stones step by step. At this moment, he could only use the formation to defeat the two of them. Fire Qilin, hold on. Jiang Chen growled and the Fire Qilin had already charged forward. Together with the 12 Fire God Guards, they were like a tiger that had grown wings and finally managed to block Shen Yuanqi's attack. On the other side, Spiritual Master Qi Yan was fighting against the Dragon Rider's Heavenly Guards. It was obviously a one-sided suppression. However, the Dragon Rider's Heavenly Guards were much more terrifying than the 12 Fire God Guards. Hence, it was impossible for Spiritual Master Qi Yan to eliminate the Dragon Rider's Heavenly Guards in a short period of time. Jiang Chen wanted to entangle the two of them and give him the opportunity to set up the formation. This guy is actually setting up a formation? Lan Luo saw through Jiang Chen's intention at a glance as he was a bystander. Could the formation he set up really threaten the two peak ultimate gods with his strength? At least Lan Luo did not believe it. It was almost impossible for a Divine King Realm expert to fight against a peak ultimate god expert. Moreover, there were two of them. Even if he had endless means and had the help of the Fire Qilin, the Fire Qilin's strength was still too weak to take on such a big responsibility. You want to use a formation? Ha ha ha, you're too naive. Shen Yuanqi was like a hot knife cutting through butter. He was fearless even in the face of the Fire Qilin's participation. He stepped forward step by step with an invincible momentum. You think you can use a formation? Dream on. It won't take long for me to completely defeat your Dragon Riders. Spiritual Master Qi Yan said sarcastically. Noisy. Jiang Chen's expression was as calm as usual. He did not care about Shen Yuanqi and Taoist Qi Yan's ridicule. Instead, he concentrated on setting up the formation. The Ghost Prison Ashura Sword Formation was a formation formed by 108 Origin Divine Weapons. It was time to see how terrifying its power was. Chapter 3024. Jiang Chen was not in a hurry because the formation this time was not simple. 108 Origin Divine Tools were also a test of Jiang Chen's energy consumption. Who dared to try to control so many Origin Divine Tools in such a huge formation at the same time? It might be hard to control in an instant. Therefore, Jiang Chen had to be careful. The Azura shock absorption this time was likely to drain all the Divine Origin power in his body. However, Jiang Chen believed that the attack that burst out at the same time would definitely surprise him. Fire Qilin, the 12 Fire God Guards and the Dragon Rider Celestial Guards almost used up all their power to resist the two people. However, the 12 Fire God Guards were already in a mess. Fire Qilin was heavily injured, but he did not say a word. Because he knew that if Jiang Chen was given enough time, he would definitely not let him down. It's done. The light in Jiang Chen's eyes changed slightly and he said in a deep voice, "Activate the formation." Jiang Chen shouted and the formation was activated instantly. 108 Origin Divine Tools were formed together with the Supreme Grade Divine Origin Stone in a moment. Shenyuan Qi and Taoist Qi Yan's expressions changed. Although they did not believe that a divine king could be that capable, 108 Origin Soul artifacts were really frightening. So many Origin Divine Tools? Shenyuan Qi's mouth twitched slightly. Even he only had 2 Origin Divine Tools. This guy was just a divine king. How could he be so terrifying? Moreover, it was a formation formed by 108 Origin Divine Tools. It must be quite terrifying. Just looking at the formation, Shenyuan Qi frowned a little. So what if there are so many Origin Divine Tools? Can you really control it? Ha! Wishful thinking. So many Origin Divine Tools will drain all the Divine Origin power in your body. By then, let's see how you can support the formation. The formation will collapse by itself. Taoist Qi Yan sneered. He was extremely disdainful of Jiang Chen. How terrifying were 108 Origin Divine Tools? Could a divine king understand it? He couldn't imagine that even if it was them, it was practically impossible for them to control 108 Origin Divine Tools. They couldn't even last for 10 breaths of time. I think you're here to deliver an Essence Divine artifact. Hehe. Taoist Qi Yan became more and more delighted. On Jiang Chen's body, there were 108 Origin Divine Tools, which were more than the number of Origin Divine Tools in this tomb. Moreover, there was also a Spatial Divine Tool. This guy was a real moving treasure house. Taoist Qi Yan didn't expect that his harvest this time would be so big. Lan Luo frowned. She had always felt that this guy was like a bottomless pit. She had no idea where his bottom line was, nor did she know what his upper limit was. However, he was able to break free countless times and charge upwards constantly. Even she was completely shocked by Jiang Chen. Yet he was only a peak god king. Will he really counterattack? Lan Luo couldn't believe it. 108 Origin Divine Tools were too terrifying. Even she was shocked. These 108 Origin Divine Tools could even be compared to the divine tools of a small force in the Central Region Divine Land, or even more terrifying. She had seen the elder in her clan controlling the formation formed by 30 Origin Divine Tools. It was earth-shattering. As for that elder, his strength had already reached the Divine Emperor realm, which was still too far away from her. Although the peak of the Hierarch realm was already extremely powerful, it was extremely difficult to step into the half-step Divine Emperor realm. It would depend on one's luck to reach the Emperor realm. The Emperor realm was the true peak in this era where only a few Emperor realm experts had died. The strength of a half-step Divine Emperor was far beyond the peak of the Hierarch realm. It could even be said that even 20 peak ultimate gods would not be able to defeat one half-step Divine Emperor. This showed how terrifying the Emperor realm was. It was just a half-step Divine Emperor. Once one stepped into the Divine Emperor realm, one would be able to leap across the vast world. Lan Luo had reached the peak of the Hierarch realm for 2 million years, but she still couldn't break through to the half-step Divine Emperor realm. This time, she came to the northern cold Divine Land because of her clan's order. She wanted to obtain a trace of the Great Emperor's inheritance from the Great Emperor tomb. She might have the opportunity to enter the half-step Divine Emperor realm, but it was just an ideal idea. It was not easy to obtain the inheritance from the Great Emperor tomb. Shenyuan Qi, Spiritual Master Qi Yan, and Jiang Chen were her biggest obstacles. Even if she couldn't obtain the Great Emperor's inheritance, she could still obtain some Great Emperor's items to improve her strength. By then, she could obtain Tihu in the clan and perhaps even improve a little. Reaching the half-step Divine Emperor realm would mean that she had already surpassed the Hierarch realm experts. Her status would also rise. Whether it was in the clan or the Central Region Divine Land, she would have some fame. Lan Luo was shocked. Even a Divine Emperor realm expert might not have such a method, but Jiang Chen did it. However, could he really gather such a terrifying formation? This was still an unknown. As expected by Spiritual Master Qi Yan, as soon as the Ghost Prison Ashura Sword formation was activated, Jiang Chen felt that the divine origin energy in his body was almost drained. Controlling the true ghost prison Ashura sword formation required a huge amount of divine origin energy. However, Jiang Chen's current strength was limited. Although he could continuously recover his strength with the myriad qi, the most terrifying thing was that he couldn't make ends meet. Jiang Chen's ghost prison Ashura sword formation could only last for 50 breaths of time. Jiang Chen gritted his teeth, but he was shocked. Even he had never thought that this would happen. However, 50 breaths of time depended on whether he could kill the two of them. This is the true ghost prison Ashura sword formation. Jiang Chen took a deep breath. Shenyuan Qi and spiritual master Qi Yan's facial expressions suddenly changed. Endless sword rain was hovering above their heads. Most importantly, it was the sword rain emitted by the origin divine weapons. The sword rain was dazzling with golden light, constantly intertwining in the formation without any blind spots. "Break for me!" Jiang Chen roared and used all of his strength. 108 origin divine weapons were completely activated at this moment. The operation of the formation caused the divine origin energy in his body to be drained faster. He knew that his mental strength was also greatly consumed and it was difficult to continue. Chapter 30-25. What a terrifying sword formation! Taoist Qi Yan roared. Flaming silhouettes soared into the sky, but they were all slashed by the endless rain of swords. Wounds appeared on his body one after another. In just 10 breaths of time, the two of them were heavily injured and could only passively resist. The endless rain of swords pierced through their bodies. The might of the sword formation was like a tiger or a dragon, unstoppable. Shenyuan Juiying. One sword against 1,000. Shenyuan Qi unwillingly displayed his strongest sword technique, but he still could not resist the endless sword rain. His injuries were also getting more and more serious. "This is impossible." "No." Shenyuan Qi repeatedly cried out, but he could not do anything. He was hit by the sword rain again and again. The dazzling sword aura was so powerful that Taoist Qi Yan and Shenyuan Qi could not resist it at all. Invisible sword shadow. 10,000 holy light. Jiang Chen's face also became more and more pale, and even the light in his eyes became extremely turbid. Because the Ashura sword formation was too terrifying, it was almost devouring his divine origin energy, causing his myriad qi body to show stagnation in recovery. The terrifying consumption made Jiang Chen's face change. But there was no doubt that the horror made Shenyuan Qi and Taoist Qi Yan instantly fall into despair. "Bastard! You can't kill me, or the Shenyuan clan will never let you go. I am the top genius of the Shenyuan clan. You can't kill me, you can't." Shenyuan Qi vowed to resist with his life, while blood was gushing out. His aura was extremely weak. He knew that he might not be able to hold on for more than 30 breaths of time. "Boy, I surrender. As long as you remove the formation, I am willing to be your slave forever." In Taoist Qi Yan's eyes, aside from fear, there was nothing else. The ridicule from before had become a slap to his face. He and Shenyuan Qi were practically forced to kneel on the ground by the peerlessly powerful sacred light, with no room to turn the situation around. "In my eyes, the lives of the two of you are not as important as the life of my best friend. If I don't kill you, how can I comfort his soul in heaven?" Jiang Chen coldly said as he spat out a mouthful of blood. In this battle, he had almost suffered a great loss. He had consumed all of his essence, qi and spirit, and his divine origin energy was almost completely depleted. However, it was imperative to kill them. "You lunatic, no!" Before Shenyuan Qi's roar could stop, the rain of swords pierced through his heart. Taoist Qi Yan had no way to deal with it and could only be completely killed by Jiang Chen's ghost prison Ashura sword formation. Their souls were also scattered by Jiang Chen's endless rain of swords. Their souls were completely destroyed, and there was no hope for them to be reborn. Jiang Chen looked at the figures of the two men who had lost all hope and fell to the ground. At this moment, he couldn't hold on any longer. He knelt down on one knee, and blood kept gushing out from his wound. Lan Luo was completely dumbfounded. No one could resist Jiang Chen's death sword formation. However, being devoured by the sword formation was also within her expectations. After all, it was almost impossible for Jiang Chen to control such a huge sword formation. It was already beyond Lan Luo's imagination to be able to hold on for more than 10 breaths of time. Jiang Chen's dreadfulness was completely indescribable. Even someone with peerless talent like her had to admit that she was not a match for Jiang Chen. Even if she pretended to be weak and deliberately lost to Jiang Chen, it could not change the outcome. In the end, it was still difficult for her to defeat Jiang Chen. This guy could even be said to be a real tiger. Shenyuan Qi and Taoist Qi Yan were both defeated by Jiang Chen. It was not a loss at all, because the two of them were really not a match for Jiang Chen. However, at this moment, Jiang Chen was already an arrow at the end of its flight. After killing the two of them, he no longer had the strength to fight anymore. He was just struggling to escape. Now, Lan Luo could take advantage of the situation and rise up. The final beneficiary of the tomb of the great emperor would be her. "You're really dreadful." Lan Luo looked at Jiang Chen and said sincerely. It was unknown whether she was praising him or mocking him. After all, the current him had no strength to fight anymore. "You're not bad either. I'm really surprised that you're able to endure so patiently." Jiang Chen's words made Lan Luo's delicate body tremble. "You know about it? Even Shenyuan Qi is afraid of you, especially your family background. If you're not strong enough, would you dare to step into this place alone? Moreover, you have the ability to deceive the Battle of Tongxian Mansion. If I'm not careful, wouldn't I be killed by you?" Jiang Chen shook his head and said, "It's too late even if you know about it now." Lan Luo smiled and said, "You can't kill me." Jiang Chen said confidently, "He can't kill you, but what about me?" A cold and familiar voice appeared behind Jiang Chen. A green-clothed man took a step forward and soared into the sky. His long hair was messy, his face rough, and his aura was terrifying. "It's you." Jiang Chen's pupils shrunk. Although he was only a middle hierarch, Jiang Chen knew that this guy was one of his strongest opponents. He was the one who almost defeated him in Linhe Boundary's Clear Stream sect. "That's right, it's me," Shenyuan Kanglin said faintly. Lang Lang looked at Jiang Chen. Jiang Chen was his lifelong enemy. He had never lost to anyone in the younger generation. The only person he lost to was Jiang Chen. He almost lost his life in that battle and was even forced to leave Clear Stream sect. "I didn't expect that you're still alive." Jiang Chen smiled and said. Lan Luo's eyes slightly squinted. Who is this guy? To be able to make Jiang Chen pay attention to him. Although he was only a middle hierarch, he was not as simple as he looked. He might be a powerful expert. "I won't die since you're still alive. However, I'm afraid you won't be able to escape today," Shenyuan Kanglin said. "You've lost to me twice, and each time, you had to flee in a sorry state." Jiang Chen smiled and said, "Yet, you failed to kill me every single time. Shenyuan Kanglin, do you think you can kill me this time?" Jiang Chen said without batting an eyelid. Although he had lost all of his strength, it wouldn't take long for him to recover completely. It was just that his appearance was a little too timely. "You're Shenyuan Kanglin? The peerless genius of the Shenyuan clan?" Lan Luo was slightly stunned. This guy's strength was not any weaker than Shenyuan Qi. She had heard about him before. He was a peerless genius of the Shenyuan clan within 100 years. He was able to dominate the younger generation of the Shenyuan clan. He could almost enter the top 3 because even Shenyuan Qi was defeated by him. She did not expect him to be Shenyuan Kanglin. The most terrifying thing was that Jiang Chen had defeated Shenyuan Kanglin twice. How strong was he? "So what? I don't like to kill women. You better leave." Chapter 30-26. Lan Luo did not say anything because she was a smart woman. She knew that if she were to take action now, the situation would change instantly. Since he wanted to kill Jiang Chen, he wouldn't have to do it himself. "Although I'm taking advantage of you, I'm afraid that I won't be able to defeat you after you recover. That's why it's best to kill him while he's still in the cradle." Shenyuan Kanglin was not an extraordinary person. Although he was arrogant, he knew how to judge the situation. Jiang Chen was able to kill Qi Yan Dao Master and Shenyuan Qi. It was already extremely terrifying to him. Now that Jiang Chen was unable to do anything, it was the best time for him to take action. "You're indeed powerful. Your talent is the best I've ever seen in my life. But you're too arrogant. In your eyes, no one is your opponent. But to me, I only need to become stronger. Shenyuan clan is my backing. Shenyuan Qi is already dead. He's just a pawn to me. So what if he's dead? You're strong, but you're just a brainless bastard." Shenyuan Kanglin continued. He was determined to kill Jiang Chen. Unfortunately, you won't have the chance to do so, Jiang Chen said coldly. At this moment, he retreated and his blood stained the stage. Lan Luo did not expect that Jiang Chen would take the initiative to drip his blood on the stage. He's courting death. However, Jiang Chen wanted to find out what this executioner stage was and how it devoured Xueqi. Otherwise, he would not be satisfied. You're still thinking of killing yourself? Lan Luo frowned. Jiang Chen's action made her confused. Could it be that this guy doesn't want to die in the hands of the opponent that he had defeated twice and feel ashamed? The general execution platform will devour you completely. You actually chose the path of death. Shenyuan Kanglin's eyes were calm. Jiang Chen's action made him sigh. But death was death. No matter how he died, Jiang Chen, the demon in his heart, would disappear from his heart. All of a sudden, Jiang Chen felt the same heat that he felt on Xueqi's body. But this time, it was much more real. A strong suction force was burning Jiang Chen's blood. His blood was boiling and his body was burning in pain. Jiang Chen frowned. However, the karmic fire of the Red Lotus was protecting Jiang Chen's heart meridian at this moment. However, his blood was boiling and Jiang Chen could not do anything about it. In the next moment, Jiang Chen felt his body being sucked into the execution platform uncontrollably. Jiang Chen's expression became solemn. The space of the commander execution stage was independent. He was also shocked. This commander execution stage was actually a spatial divine tool similar to the ancestral dragon pagoda. There were boundless blood pools and blood mountains around it. Around the blood mountains, there were rays of blood-red light burning. It was like fire, but also like an invisible emptiness. What was burning was not only the fire, but also the karmic fire within one's heart. Jiang Chen's heart trembled. If it wasn't for the karmic fire of the Red Lotus protecting his heart, he might not be able to escape this fate. The karmic fire of the Red Lotus blocked the karmic fire from burning. Many spirits appeared in the surroundings. However, those spirits made Jiang Chen's heart tremble. They were all Emperor Realm spirits. However, these spirits did not have any consciousness. They were like wandering ghosts, wandering around the space of the stage. Each of these spirits was extremely terrifying. They would collide with each other and every time they collided, there would be boundless karmic fire rising. In the distance, Jiang Chen's eyes narrowed. He saw Xueqi. At this moment, Xueqi was sitting cross-legged on the stone stage, bathing in the blood pool. The blood pool around him was gushing out continuously. The blood-red radiance and karmic fire attacked Xueqi again and again. It was as if they were cleansing his body and soul. Xueqi is not dead yet? Jiang Chen's pupils shrunk. The surrounding space was too strange. Jiang Chen could not believe it. Everything here seemed to have become extremely ordinary. The burning sensation of his blood rising gradually weakened. However, it did not disappear. Jiang Chen used the karmic fire of the Red Lotus to protect his heart. The appearance of Xueqi gave Jiang Chen a great shock. At least he could relax. Xueqi was not dead yet. Although his aura was a little weak, it was undeniable that his existence gave Jiang Chen a peace of mind. In other words, the execution stage was not as terrifying as Bing Yun had described. However, he still could not release Bing Yun from the Zulong Tower. He and Xueqi were not devoured by the execution stage, but it did not mean that she could ignore the devouring of the execution stage. What kind of existence is this execution stage? How could it be so terrifying? Jiang Chen's blood was rising and burning. However, the myriad Qi body's recovery was still on par with Xueqi's. Under such circumstances, Jiang Chen was in an invincible position. At least he managed to escape from Shenyuan Kanglin's pursuit and found out whether Xueqi was dead or alive. It was worth it for him to rush into the execution stage. The body bathed in blood. The devil is limitless. Xueqi murmured and suddenly opened his eyes. His eyes were bloodshot and blazing. His pupils were completely covered by the color of blood. Jiang Chen felt that he was not looking at Xueqi, but an incomparably terrifying devil's. How could this be? Is Xueqi possessed by the devil? Jiang Chen took a step forward. However, Xueqi's aura suddenly skyrocketed at this moment. He even broke through the middle hierarch realm and his strength was still rising. His surroundings seemed to be burning with blood-red devil qi. Xueqi kept devouring the devil qi. His eyes became more and more scarlet, filled with bloodthirsty battle intent and murderous intent. This execution stage is too terrifying. It actually devoured his will. Once he loses control of his will, he will become a puppet. Jiang Chen frowned. Xueqi seemed to be in a calm situation, but he was actually a bomb that could explode at any time. He seemed to be devouring the energy of the execution stage. I must not let him be possessed by the devil. Jiang Chen's eyes narrowed. He wanted to stop Xueqi. At this moment, he released his Emperor Realm soul. However, Jiang Chen did not expect that the surrounding unconscious Emperor Realm souls would start rushing towards him. Jiang Chen's Emperor Realm soul made Xueqi frown. His bloodshot eyes stared at Jiang Chen as if he was looking at his prey. Damn it! Why are those unconscious Emperor Realm souls rushing towards me? Chapter 30-27. Jiang Chen could not help but worry. Xueqi had already turned into a devil. Jiang Chen wanted to use the Emperor Realm souls to help him get rid of the devil in his heart, but he did not expect that the unconscious Emperor Realm souls would rush towards him. This almost forced Jiang Chen into a desperate situation. Now he only had less than 20% of his strength left. The previous battle had almost consumed all the divine spirit in his body. Even if he had the myriad chi body, it was impossible for him to fully recover in such a short time. Jiang Chen wanted to escape into the Zulong Tower, but misfortunes never come. He found that the Zulong Tower could not be opened. It must be because of the general execution stage. Jiang Chen thought. The general execution stage was a space of its own. Even the Zulong Tower could not be entered. Facing so many unconscious Emperor Realm souls, Jiang Chen was extremely anxious. Although those unconscious Emperor Realm souls could not attack him, under Xueqi's control, those Emperor Realm souls began to surge towards Jiang Chen in an orderly manner. Xueqi's blood-red eyes were filled with a cold killing intent towards Jiang Chen. It seemed that only by killing him could he calm the terrifying devil flame in his heart. Xueqi's bloodthirsty demon eye gave Jiang Chen a great deal of pressure. This guy's strength seemed to become more and more strange and terrifying, especially the Skyfrost sword in his hand, which seemed to be completely under his control. Jiang Chen deeply understood how terrifying the feeling of being one with the sword was. He and the Sky Dragon sword were in the realm of being one with the sword. Xueqi, do you still remember me? Jiang Chen said in a deep voice. The so-called Xueqi has left. From now on, my name is Shadowstream. Xueqi said faintly. The killing intent in his eyes did not diminish. He walked towards Jiang Chen step by step. You are not Xueqi. Jiang Chen's pupils shrank. This guy's voice was a little hoarse, but the coldness in it made people's hearts freeze. He invaded Xueqi's body and replaced him. Shadowstream? Who are you? Jiang Chen shouted coldly. If it wasn't for that stubborn old man who trapped me here, I might have already become the strongest emperor in the world. Ying Lu said faintly. His blood-red demonic eyes were full of resentment. The old guy he was talking about was obviously the ancient emperor of Zhou. I can sense the aura on your body, the source energy of all things. I like it very much. If I devour you, I'll benefit greatly. Although this body is barely passable, it is still inferior to yours. Even that old thing doesn't have such a terrifying physique. If it were in the ancient times, it would definitely be a treasure that everyone would drool over. Shadowstream suddenly grinned, completely regarding Jiang Chen as food in his mouth. You are indeed a ruthless person. No wonder the ancient emperor of Zhou trapped you here. Jiang Chen frowned, not daring to underestimate him in the slightest. This guy's soul had also reached the emperor realm, but Jiang Chen had never expected it. Humph, if I wasn't controlled by the forbidden soul seal back then, even if that old fellow wanted to kill me, it wouldn't have been an easy task. How many years has it been? I've been trapped in this dark general's execution platform by him. He killed 108 generals all for the sake of sealing me. One day, I'll make that old bastard fall into the cycle of reincarnation forever. The ancient emperor of Zhou is dead, Jiang Chen said. But he was shocked. The ancient emperor of Zhou killed all 108 emperors just to suppress this guy? How strong was he when he was alive? Impossible, I don't believe it. Shadowstream suddenly looked up and turned to look at Jiang Chen. Is he really dead? Ha ha ha, then who in this world can trap me? Ha ha ha. When I see the light of day again, I will dye the 9 heavens with blood. My name, Shadowstream, will reign supreme for all eternity. Shadow Stream laughed wildly. Jiang Chen felt more and more that this guy was terrifying. It would not be easy to get out of here. The general execution platform was a space of its own. It was easy to enter, but difficult to get out. Jiang Chen looked at Shadow Stream cautiously. His only chance now was the soul-snatching divine art. Only by catching him off guard could he seriously injure his soul power. Only then would he have a chance to turn the tables. Otherwise, he would not be a match for him. The current Xueqi was not the same as before. Shadow Stream's methods, as well as his terrifying fusion with the Skyfrost sword, made it so that even Jiang Chen did not dare to fight him head-on. If he was at his peak, he might be able to fight him, but now Jiang Chen had to be prepared. You are the capital that I need to break through the general execution platform. Shadow Stream approached Jiang Chen again. The terrifying demonic flame burned in his eyes, as if it could burn everything. That overbearing attitude of ignoring everything and being the only one in the world made people fearful. You are already an arrow at the end of its flight. Admit defeat, little guy. Ha! Shadow Stream rose with his sword while sweeping across, pressing towards Jiang Chen. An overbearing aura filled the air. Jiang Chen met the challenge head-on. At this moment, he had no other choice. There was nothing but endless blood pools and mountains of blood around him. Worlds apart, Jiang Chen did not dare to be careless. The sixth move of the Sword of Solitude was displayed. The terrifying sword will actually forced Shadow Stream to take a step back. Shadow Stream's expression was extremely cold. You actually know that old thing's Sword of Solitude? So this Sword of Solitude was really created by 9 provinces Solitude. Jiang Chen's heart trembled. If he could find the rest of the Sword of Solitude in this tomb of the great emperor, it would be his greatest gain. Are you also afraid of the Sword of Solitude? Jiang Chen sneered. Afraid? The world is vast. What is there that I, Shadow Stream, am afraid of? What a joke. Shadow Stream said disdainfully. He charged forward again. The Skyfrost sword raised the Skyfrost, and the cold air was oppressive. Ice and fire overlapped, and each move was fatal. If Jiang Chen's attainments in swordsmanship were not so strong, he would have been defeated long ago. However, after that move, his aura once again fell into decline. If he could not win for a long time, he would definitely lose. Most importantly, those unconscious Emperor Realm souls had already surrounded him. What he had to face was no longer just Shadow Stream. Jiang Chen narrowed his eyes. The only thing he could rely on was the soul-snatching divine technique. This is the moment. Shadow Stream recklessly charged forward. Jiang Chen found an opportunity. At the moment when Shadow Stream's sword momentum reversed, he instantly displayed the departed soul's killing technique. A soundless flowing light spread out like ripples on water. In an instant, Shadow Stream's expression changed dramatically. He spat out blood, and his figure became dim and lifeless. He staggered backward. You actually have an Emperor soul? Chapter 30-28. But Jiang Chen did it. He performed the soul-killing move in an instant. Shadow Stream couldn't predict it, and his soul was directly damaged. Jiang Chen was also gasping for breath. The aura of his soul and divine spirit power were almost exhausted. The soul-killing move was also not something he could fully control now, because his strength was still too weak. He had to improve his strength as soon as possible. Otherwise, it would be extremely painful and sad if he couldn't use all his skills. So what? Jiang Chen sneered. This guy had been seriously injured by Jiang Chen because he had underestimated Jiang Chen. Jiang Chen's soul was in more pain than Jiang Chen's. Jiang Chen had just consumed too much energy, and his body couldn't bear such a terrible load. But Jiang Chen had really suffered a huge blow. At this moment, Xueqi's eyes became extremely painful. Sometimes they were clear, and sometimes they were full of blood. It's Xueqi. He's not dead yet. His soul is fighting back. Jiang Chen's eyes lit up. He had seriously injured Shadow Stream, so that Xueqi's soul began to regain the initiative. Xueqi desperately wanted to regain control of his body, but the constantly changing colors in his eyes made Jiang Chen worried. If Xueqi couldn't regain the initiative of his soul, he would definitely die. Jiang Chen couldn't help him at all. He could only rely on himself. He had seriously injured Shadow Stream's soul, which could be said to have bought enough time for Xueqi. Whether he lived or died, or whether he succeeded or failed, it all depended on him. "Don't let me down, Xueqi," Jiang Chen murmured. No one could understand Xueqi's pain at this time. His body and soul were both suppressed. If he hadn't taken the opportunity to fight back when Shadow Stream's soul was declining, it was estimated that when Shadow Stream's soul was completely integrated with his body, Xueqi would really no longer exist. Jiang Chen stared at this scene intently. Xueqi gained the upper hand again and began to crazily suppress Shadow Stream's soul. The clarity in his eyes grew brighter and brighter. Jiang Chen knew that Xueqi was about to succeed. As time went by, Xueqi finally gained the upper hand in the soul struggle with Shadow Stream and completely suppressed it, because the clarity in his eyes was something Jiang Chen had never seen before. "It's good to be alive," Xueqi murmured, looking at Jiang Chen in front of him. No one knew how much pain he had gone through in the soul struggle not long ago. At the moment when Shadow Stream occupied his body, he thought he would never see the light of day again, but now it seemed that he was lucky. Xueqi knew that Jiang Chen must have severely injured Shadow Stream's soul. Otherwise, it would have been impossible for him to fight against the soul of an Emperor Realm expert with his soul power. Jiang Chen had saved him again. "Although it's a little tacky, I still have to say thank you." "You don't have to thank me. The person who saved you is yourself. If you can't defeat Shadow Stream, no one can help you." Jiang Chen smiled. "He's not dead yet," Xueqi said. "What?" Jiang Chen said in a low voice. "It's already very painful to suppress him. It's almost impossible to kill him. His soul power is in my body. If I want to kill him, I have to kill myself. Moreover, the terror of an Emperor Realm soul is not something we can imagine. His soul is something I can't compare with. I can only suppress him temporarily. I don't even know how long it will take for him to make a comeback," Xueqi said with a wry smile. But he had survived the disaster and was not killed by Shadow Stream, which was a great fortune in misfortune. "So, he may make a comeback at any time?" Jiang Chen frowned. For Xueqi, he could fall into a passive position at any time, or even face a life-and-death situation again. "Yes, but there's nothing I can do. It depends on my luck. If he really makes a comeback and invades my soul again in the future, I'm afraid things will be more serious than now." Xueqi also looked helpless, but he couldn't change the fact. "Now we have to see how to get out of here," Jiang Chen said. "This commander execution stage seems to have a space of its own, which means that it must be a divine weapon. Moreover, there are hundreds of unconscious Emperor Realm souls in the commander execution stage. They should be the souls of the experts killed by the ancient emperor of the 9 provinces. Previously, Ying Lu said that these 108 Emperor-level souls were killed by the 9 regions' ancient emperor in order to suppress him. If we can destroy these Emperor-level souls, maybe we can get out," Jiang Chen thought. "But these are 108 Emperor Realm souls. That Shadow Stream has been powerless for hundreds of millions of years. How can the seal of the great Emperor of Zhou be broken so easily?" Xueqi was still in despair. He dared not imagine how they could get rid of the 108 Emperor Realm souls. "We can only fight with our lives on the line. Although these unconscious Emperor Realm souls have no power to attack us now, it's almost impossible to destroy them." Jiang Chen didn't know what to do at the moment, but he already had an idea. However, he wasn't sure if his Great Yu Soul Forming Light could control so many Emperor Realm souls. Although the Great Yu Soul Forming Light was terrifying, it still hadn't reached the level of a primal origin treasure. Once it couldn't bear so many Emperor Realm souls, it might be shooting itself in the foot. Even Jiang Chen couldn't imagine the result. 108 Emperor Realm souls. It was unimaginably terrifying. Although the Great Yu Soul Forming Light could devour billions of souls, these 108 Emperor Realm souls were like an insurmountable mountain. No matter how big the capacity of the Great Yu Soul Forming Light was, it might not be able to contain them. But now, Jiang Chen could only fight with his life on the line. The Great Yu Soul Forming Light was their only chance of survival. "It's up to you now. Life or death, success or failure, it all depends on a single thought." Jiang Chen held the Great Yu Soul Forming Light in his hand and activated the divine tool. A terrifying soul storm was formed in the general's execution stage. The unconscious Emperor Realm souls were instantly devoured by the Great Yu Soul Forming Light. Even Jiang Chen was dumbfounded. The Great Yu Soul Forming Light was just an essence divine tool. How could it be so terrifying? Jiang Chen finally knew how terrifying it was. After the Great Yu Soul-forming light devoured 108 Emperor Realm souls, the wick of the Great Yu Soul-forming light suddenly shone with green light. Even Jiang Chen didn't expect that. It actually advanced? Chapter 30-29. Both Jiang Chen and Xueqi did not expect the 108 Emperor Realm souls to be absorbed by the Great Yu Soul-forming light. It was unbelievable. It's too scary. I'm afraid that even an Emperor Realm expert would be afraid of this magical lamp, Xueqi said. No matter what, the 108 Emperor Realm souls were all absorbed by the Great Yu Soul-forming light. How could Xueqi not be shocked? Even though he knew that Jiang Chen had many tricks up his sleeves, it was still unbelievable. The changes in the Great Yu Soul-forming light made Jiang Chen value it even more. The Great Yu Soul-forming light had become a primordial treasure. To Jiang Chen, it was a great surprise. Most importantly, he could feel that the Great Yu Soul-forming light had been strengthened by the 108 Emperor Realm souls. The 108 Emperor Realm souls were not completely absorbed by the Great Yu Soul-forming light. Instead, it was the Juju that could not be devoured completely. The Great Yu Soul-forming light had been suppressed by the 108 Emperor Realm souls. In fact, the Great Yu Soul-forming light had broken through because it had devoured the Emperor Realm souls of the Juju. Jiang Chen felt that the 108 Emperor Realm souls were extraordinary, but he could not figure it out. At this moment, a blue cocoon appeared on the wick of the lamp. The blue light was leisurely, and the green light flickered. The cocoon was burning under the wick. The cocoon started to crack slowly and finally disappeared. There was a blue long-eared elf jumping around in the wick as if it was playing. Is this the soul of the Great Yu Soul-forming light? Xueqi was dumbfounded and looked at the scene silently. Not bad. I never expected the Great Yu Soul-forming light to have such a change. Jiang Chen was delighted. The Great Yu Soul-forming light had become so powerful. With the primordial treasure in his hands, he had nothing to worry about anymore. Moreover, the Great Yu Soul-forming light had given birth to a soul. The soul in the Great Yu Soul-forming light was only the size of a fingernail. However, it was extremely lively like a fairy in the sky. I can control the general execution stage now? Xueqi said in a deep voice. The general execution stage was not an ordinary item. It was a real primordial treasure, and it might not be weaker than the Great Yu Soul-forming light. This general execution platform was able to seal 108 Emperor-level souls and suppress the shadows. It definitely had its own terrifying aspects. Otherwise, why would the ancient emperor of the 9 provinces value it so highly? We can go out, Xueqi said happily. With a thought, Jiang Chen and Xueqi left the general execution stage. But at this moment, Lan Luo and Shenyuan Kanglin were nowhere to be seen. You'd better let your little lover know that you're not dead yet. Haha, I bet she's worried sick. Jiang Chen said with a smile. Xueqi blushed. Just as Jiang Chen had expected, the ancestral dragon pagoda could be accessed freely after leaving the general execution stage. Qian Renji and Bing Yun were released by Jiang Chen. When Bing Yun saw Xueqi in front of her, she was completely stunned. She immediately threw herself into Xueqi's embrace. Brother Bai, I don't want you to leave me anymore. Bing Yun hugged Xueqi with tears in her eyes. Qian Renji smiled. Fortunately, Jiang Chen and Xueqi were safe. If it wasn't for Jiang Chen, I would have died long ago. Xueqi said sincerely. Bing Yun blushed. She felt that her words to Jiang Chen were inappropriate. She said embarrassedly. I'm sorry, Jiang Chen. I offended you. It's okay. Oh yes. Do you know who Shadow Stream is? Jiang Chen shook his head. He did not take it to heart. Shadow Stream? Bing Yun was stunned and shook her head. I've heard of this name before, but I can't remember. This person should be weaker than the 9-region ancient emperor, but I really can't remember. Jiang Chen, look, there's a blood-red door. It's opened. Qian Renji's eyes lit up when she saw the blood-red stone door. Looks like Shenyuan Kanglin and Lan Luo have entered. Jiang Chen said. This is the last door of the 9-region ancient emperor's tomb. The blood-red stone door was created by the great emperor himself. Bing Yun said. Looks like the 9-region ancient emperor's true face is finally going to be revealed. Jiang Chen's eyes flashed. Who was this 9-region ancient emperor? He was filled with anticipation. A god emperor of the 9-region immortal world? Moreover, the sword of solitude that he cultivated was created by this great emperor. In order to obtain the last 3 styles of the sword of solitude, Jiang Chen must pay a visit to the last tomb of an ancient great emperor of the 9 provinces. But your injuries? Qian Renji asked worriedly. It's all right. I'll be fine in half a day. As soon as he finished speaking, Jiang Chen entered the ancestral dragon pagoda. The 3 of them were already used to it, especially Xueqi, who was able to control the execution stage after it had acknowledged him as its master. Naturally, he knew about Jiang Chen's unpredictable methods. Jiang Chen entered the Zulong Tower and started to heal his injuries. With the help of the myriad qi body, his strength would be restored to its peak in no time. Now that Shenyuan Kanglin had reappeared, his strength must have increased by leaps and bounds. Moreover, he could ignore Shenyuan qi, which meant that his strength was not any weaker than Shenyuan qi. Lan Luo, on the other hand, was a woman with a heart like a snake and a scorpion. She was extremely ruthless, meticulous and cunning. Both of them were extremely difficult to deal with. Jiang Chen had to take precautions against them. He did not dare to take any risks before his strength was fully recovered. Moreover, he still had to deal with the dangers in the tomb. However, when Xueqi tried to retrieve the platform, he realized that he couldn't do it at all. The platform was firmly embedded in the ground and he couldn't move it at all. No matter how many tricks Xueqi used, it was of no use. Xueqi tried to use his will to activate the general execution platform, wanting to keep it completely. Every attempt ended in failure. However, Xueqi did not want to give up just like that. The power of the general execution platform was rather terrifying. If he gave up now, he would probably regret it for the rest of his life. Xueqi persisted, but the execution platform was immovable. In the end, Xueqi could only give up. If he could not keep the execution platform, his gains would be gone. Damn it. I don't believe it. Xueqi tried to control the general execution stage with his will once again, but he still couldn't move it. At the critical moment, the general execution stage flew up in an instant, smashing a hole in the great emperor's tomb and soaring into the sky. Bing Yun and Qian Renji did not know whether to laugh or cry. They looked at each other, finding it hard to accept. This. Chapter 30:30. Half a day later, Jiang Chen woke up from his cultivation. When he heard Xueqi's words, he was extremely shocked. The general execution platform flew away by itself. This was too strange. Even Xueqi, who was in control of the general execution platform, could not do anything about it. However, there was no turning back now. Not only Jiang Chen, Xueqi was also curious about the 9 regions' ancient emperor. Since the general execution platform has flown away by itself, let's go in and have a look. Although Xueqi was unwilling, he could not change the current situation. All right, Jiang Chen said. The 4 of them quickly went through the blood-red stone door. The huge blood-red door gave off a chilling aura. It's Shenyuan Kanglin. Xueqi recognized Shenyuan Kanglin at first glance and was shocked. Why is he here? That guy is everywhere. Compared to before, his strength is much stronger. If I hadn't seized the opportunity to enter the general execution platform, I'm afraid I wouldn't have been his match. Jiang Chen shook his head and said. However, if they were to fight again, Jiang Chen would be fearless. Looks like the tomb of the 9 regions' ancient emperor is getting more and more lively. Xueqi said faintly. His eyes narrowed slightly. Shenyuan Kanglin's participation had made this battle more difficult. That's an altar? Jiang Chen's gaze fell on the black square altar. There were 8 of them in the shape of the 8 trigrams. Each altar was surrounded and protected by a blood-red silhouette with a broken sword in his hand. He was sitting on the altar with his long hair fluttering in the wind. It was a strange scene. His silhouette was like a huge mountain, filled with a vigorous feeling, giving off a heavy pressure. His aura was completely above all things. That kind of attitude of looking up and sweeping through the world, even though he was just sitting there, was enough to make people yearn for it. Even Lan Luo and Shenyuan Kanglin fell into deep thought. They looked at the blood-red silhouette silently. The ancient emperor of Jiuzhou? Bing Yun exclaimed. Her expression became extremely solemn. At this moment, everyone looked at Bing Yun, including Lan Luo and Shenyuan Kanglin. They waved their hands and saw Jiang Chen and the others standing at the entrance. You're saying that he's the ancient emperor of the 9 states? Jiang Chen and the rest took a deep breath and their expressions became more and more solemn. Was that silhouette really the ancient emperor of Zhou? Following Bing Yun's exclamation, everyone silently stared at the back of the seated figure. It was as though he was one with the heavens and earth. Even the sudden appearance of the broken sword gave people the feeling that it was one with the heavens and earth. However, Jiang Chen kept having the feeling that he had seen that sword somewhere before, but he wasn't sure. That silhouette was thought-provoking. It even made people fall into a state of confusion. The man who was in the middle of the 8 trigrams altar was the center of the altar. He sat there as though he was looking at something. It also seemed like he had a kind of determination to face death calmly. It was thought-provoking. Especially that sword. When Jiang Chen walked in, the heavenly dragon sword in his hand began to tremble continuously. It was a sense of crisis, a kind of resonance. Jiang Chen was extremely cautious. To be able to resonate with his heavenly dragon sword, how terrifying would that divine weapon be? The craftsman god had sealed his heavenly dragon sword, but it still reached the level of a primal origin treasure. Even he could not create a primal origin treasure. Even the Emperor realm experts were shocked. Today, it was the first time that Jiang Chen had seen such a terrifying divine weapon. Even the broken Eastern Emperor bell only caused the heavenly dragon sword to tremble slightly. On that broken sword, a terrifying evil aura caused Jiang Chen and the rest's expression to change. It was a kind of arrogance and overbearingness. A bloodthirsty sword intent was emitted from the inside out, suffocating everyone. That silhouette and that short sword attracted everyone's attention. The silhouette was like a mountain, the spine was like a hook, and the 8 trigrams altar was growing and multiplying endlessly. However, that person did not have a trace of vitality. All of his vitality was on that incomparably terrifying broken sword. When Bing Yun shouted out the name of Zhou Ancient Emperor, everyone knew that person must be the Zhou Ancient Emperor. I didn't expect you to still be alive. This is interesting. Shenyuan Kanglin said Leng Leng while looking at Jiang Chen. You're really haunting me. This time, I will not let you leave so easily. Xueqi said. Really? Then let's see if you have the capability. If not, then all of you shall be buried together with the great emperor of Northern Liang. Shenyuan Kanglin glanced at Xueqi. Even though Xueqi's strength was on par with him, Xueqi seemed to be weaker than Jiang Chen. This time, Shenyuan Kanglin would take care of Xueqi. Your arrogance is very annoying. Xueqi and Shenyuan Kanglin were also opposing each other. After all, both of them were no longer the monarchs of yesterday. When they meet again, there would definitely be a more terrifying battle. Unfortunately, the sword is broken. Lan Luo's eyes were filled with disappointment. Obviously, she came for the broken sword. Although the sword was still there, it was no longer as glorious as before. Even if it's a broken sword, I will not give up. Shenyuan Kanglin squinted his eyes and flew up. Previously, he and Lan Luo had to break through layers of obstacles to get close to the altar. However, the altar and the forbidden formation gave them a headache, causing them to fall into a predicament. The day the broken sword is reforged, the day the night returns. Even though the sword is broken, it doesn't mean that it can't be reforged, Xueqi murmured. This scene felt familiar to Xueqi. In the past, his golden saint sword was crushed and devoured. He swore that if the broken sword is reforged, it would be the day the night returns. At the same time, in Linhe Boundary, in the Forgotten Sword Tomb, countless broken swords were trembling and buzzing, as if they were awakened. The Forgotten Sword Tomb, which had been silent for millions of years, had countless divine weapons intertwining with each other. The broken swords danced in the sky. Millions of broken swords. The broken swords were like broken souls, colliding with each other. The sound of metal colliding was ear-piercing. A gray-robed old man who had been guarding the ancient sword tomb for countless years suddenly stood up from the old chair made of ancient vines. He suddenly opened his eyes, and there was a hint of excitement in his eyes. It was as if he could not control his emotions. It's been 99,990,000 years. Master, are you really coming back? The old man's eyes were filled with tears. His heart was filled with excitement. The supreme heavenly venerate of Northern Liang was finally coming back. It's not that easy to take back the broken sword. You're tuning in to the Xueqi's Martial Arts Saga YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.